Okay, let's actually begin, everybody. Welcome to the Tour of the Horrors. Yippee. Time-killing chapter. I now entrust you with all the mysteries hidden within Higurashi when they cry. However comical it may be, if you have reached any conjecture, then you have passed. This final novel is a meager reward for you. Conjecture is impossible. You have the right to reject this story. Start.
We're gonna get a poem that I will read.
After this?
After this, yes.
What is
I'm
this?
also noticing that I'm cutting my big ass ears are cutting off some of the text box.
Fuck. Let me fix that. That is going to be an issue. Boop.
Whoa.
There you go. Do you want Mort right next to you?
That's fine. Hi, Mort.
He's so cute. I love him.
You can't see my arms because of my technique, but I'm gently patting him on.
You can
patting Mort on the head.
Exclamation point pet.
I could.
You could.
I could.
Pet him. Pet him.
This arc
Pet him.
includes choices that were added in the console version. These choices result in dialogue changes and can lead to bad ends. Do you want to see these choices? I'd say no.
Prompt choices and highlight correct answers.
Oh, that's probably a good idea. Because, like, there's no point in seeing, like, the bad ends. Who is the criminal, you ask? Don't we search for them in this story? Who is the criminal, you ask? Do you even know what the criminal did? Who's the criminal? Who is the criminal that will kill me now? Frederica Berncastle.
Oh. Midsummer 1985. I had misread the time and ended up arriving too early. The scheduled board flipped with a series of clacks. My flight to Sapporo was still a bit later on. I still had over an hour before boarding. Well, I might as well close my eyes for a bit on that bench over there then. Came here directly from work, so maybe the fatigue from that was making me sleepy. Finding a suitable bench, I put my luggage on the seat next to me and settled down. Oh, this is not Keiichi.
Nope. I'm gonna be taking this guy.
Take this guy. Do you want to do the narration then?
I can. Do you mind me doing the narration for the whole chapter?
For the whole chapter? Okay, I'll do the narration.
Yeah, I'll do the voice, you do the narration.
I sighed like an old man. I had hoped to stay young forever, but had become splendidly middle-aged. Apparently, the rumor that even people in the latter half of their 20s experience a decline in their physical strength wasn't a lie. I had been mind-numbingly busy at work lately, so I rarely had any time to myself. This might have been the first time I'd been able to enjoy a journey alone like this since I was a student. Thank you, Angel. That's good. The reason behind this trip was to meet with an old friend. It was a bit strange to call him an old friend. In fact, it might be better to call him a bad one. After retiring a couple of years ago, he moved to Sapporo, his mother's hometown. His mother passed away soon after, and he was now peacefully enjoying his second lease on life. His name was Kuraldo Oishi. Kuraldo Suturaifu. He was a former detective from the primary investigation unit at the station in Okinomiya, XX Prefecture. To be honest, the only direct contact we ever had didn't last more than 3 days. After that, we exchanged New Year's cards, but never met again. So, this would be the first time meeting him in 7 years. Detective Delicious. Paging Detective Delicious. Oh, I pressed space and not enter.
I was wondering what was happening.
In other words, we met 7 years ago. In 1978. There was something I just had to ask to tell him about concerning that time. To explain that, it was impossible not to recall the incident that happened back then. That kidnapping, the details and resolution of which were resigned to darkness. Also, it was impossible not to recall a certain mysterious girl. My name is Mamoru Akasaka. It was a year that had been strangely hot, even though it was only June. Ironic that we're playing this while it's like 2 degrees outside. Goodbye, teacher! Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Watch out for cars. Don't drop in at a friend's house along the way. Make sure you get your textbooks in order for tomorrow before you go to bed. Clutter, clutter, clutter. The lively sounds of children running towards the hallway. Alright, you want to be young boy.
Hey now, didn't I tell you before?
Can't tell if the game is loud or...
It's a little loud, I feel. There we go.
I'll put it there. It's also doubled for me, so it's extra loud. But it's hard. I forgot about it. So, clearly, it's fine.
I already have one of those. I don't need any more.
The unique, high-pitched voice of youth. The energetic shrill of the cicadas went completely unheard by their ears. Children returning home from school split off one by one from their groups of friends as they went through intersections in the residential area. Even though there were several of them in a group as they left the school, as they got closer to their homes, their numbers dwindled. That's why the fewer friends you were walking home with acted as an indicator that you were that much closer to your destination.
Later. See ya.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. He finally parted ways with his last friend. A van was parked at a bend in the road. The window was open, the sound of the radio leaking outside. It must have been the news or something. Oh, you want the radio?
Reason.
Yeah.
The 3 of them were arrested for traffic violations and obstruction of justice. Due to the protests against the Hinamizawa Dam project resulting in bloodshed when clashing with riot police last month, things have only become more violent. The police are therefore taking precautions against radical activists causing yet another incident. Last week, there was also direct confrontation with Master Inukai on the steps of the Ministry of Construction.
The boy's ears perked up at the mention of the name Inukai. At that moment, a man's face peeked out suddenly from the window of the van. His behavior was a little different than that of a man looking around to see if there was any incoming traffic before he opened the door of his vehicle. His eyes meeting suddenly with the unfamiliar man, the boy panicked slightly. Nightingale? Okay. Oh, Skylark.
Skylar. Okay. They secured the 2 blocks around us. We're good to go.
The man in the passenger seat whispered quietly. Nodding in acknowledgement, the man opened the door and stood before the boy. You. Are you Toshiki Inukai-kun? I just got thrown for a loop because of Nightingale, because there's that first enemy in Alan Wake 2. His name is Nightingale.
That's true.
While asking that, the man peered at the boy's name tag. Toshiki Inukai. The name was written plainly there. The phone rang for a 3rd time. If he reached out, he could easily pick up the receiver. However, he was concerned that if he picked it up before it was even finished ringing once, whoever was on the other end of the line would think him a fairly cheap person. That's why I normally never picked up the phone until the 3rd ring. Ah, God, that's something I do too. Even he thought it was a worthless habit. However, his thinking that there isn't much meaning in waiting for just 3 rings. Wouldn't waiting for 5 be alright? It's very much a reality. His mind filled with such trifling thoughts, he picked up the phone after the 3rd ring had finished, its reverb dampened by his action. You want to be... Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
He knew that sometimes due to a malfunction at the switchboard, calls didn't connect well. At those times, it was best to hang up and let the person on the other end call again. Thinking that, the moment he began to hang up the phone, he sensed that he was definitely connected after all. He felt the presence of the person on the other end of the line, keeping silent.
Hello?
There was no way they didn't hear his question. What was the meaning of this? It wasn't like he didn't know that people could use silent calls to harass others. However, he'd never received a call like that until today. Maybe he was just lucky before, but he didn't believe that he would receive such a call on this phone. There were no direct calls to or from this line. Everything had to go through an operator. Therefore, there was absolutely no way the call would be connected unless it was verified there was somebody else on the other end of the line. That's why he didn't understand how to deal with this silent call, and instead settled into confusion.
I don't know who you are, but if you have nothing to say to me, I'm going to hang up. Please call again some other time.
Intending that to be a parting line, he made to slam down the receiver. It was at that moment the person on the other end spoke for the first time. You didn't say who you were, so I was anxious. If you're not Minister Inukai, please hang up right away. He couldn't help but be surprised by the extremely strange voice on the other end of the line. Was there a human alive who could speak with this hoarse and metallic voice? No, this was a voice he had heard somewhere before. That was the kind of voice that was on those lowbrow documentaries that they'd use when they wanted to hide the identity of a speaker, wasn't it? The voice he was hearing over the line was exactly like that. I wish I had a voice changer thing right now.
If only. Who are you?
As I said, that's what I want to ask. Are you Minister Inukai? He, Inukai, hesitated to answer. Unable to discern the intent of this suspicious phone call, he had a vague feeling that something was off. He thought about hanging up the phone and asking the operator who initiated the call. However, he forced himself to restrain that urge and for the time being, chose to state his name and listen.
That's right. This is Inukai. Also, sorry if y'all can hear, like, fucking banging. Someone is smashing against my wall.
I haven't heard it.
That's good. I've seen my, like, little character jump when it happens, but I guess maybe it's just not picking up. I said my name, now you say yours.
My name doesn't matter. First of all, I wanna do my Seam from Jack 3 voice. First of all, let's begin by thinking about the situation you're in right now. Right now, you're sitting in your chair talking on the phone. Yes? Then, why don't you try opening the lower drawer to your right? The lowest drawer to the right of the minister's chair. There was a lock on it, not enough to function as a safe, but nevertheless, it was a drawer that contained some valuable things. That's why Inukai thought that the person wanted some of the important information contained within that drawer. Space, hello!
Hi, Space!
It's you.
Sorry, but I don't have any intention of opening that. I have no reason to follow orders from somebody who won't even give me his name.
If you don't open that drawer, I'll hang up the phone. You will most likely end up regretting that. Why don't you think about opening that drawer first? Inukai didn't like following orders from the suspicious person one bit. However, he was concerned about what the man said about regretting it, so he decided to open the drawer. He took the small key he kept stowed in his wallet and unlocked the drawer. His hand stopped right before he opened it. What if there was a bomb inside, and it would explode if the drawer was opened? That delusion took hold of him. He quelled that instinct and opened it. Did you do it? The thing that's in there, do you know what it is?
What is the meaning of this? Hey!
I don't think there's any need for me to explain, is there? I'll give you some time, so please think about it a little. I'll contact you again later. Now then, pardon me. It's you.
Hey, wait. Hello? Hello?
The call had already ended. That would not change no matter how much he yelled at it. Even still, Inukai, without realizing that, continued yelling into the receiver for a while. The drawer was still open. On top of the folders crammed into the drawer, it lay there. Toshiki Inukai, written in plain lettering on a grade schooler's name tag. Just lying there. Enshrined there, completely out of place, as if it were cowering. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons or organizations is entirely coincidental. Wahoo!
Welcome, everybody, to Higurashi 5 years prior.
5 years prior, 1978. Is this Yukie? Is how you say that?
I think it's Yuki.
It's actually just Yuki. Okay.
I'm taking that from the anime. I'm pretty sure it's Yuki.
All right. Do you remember Yuki? This picture. This is where I first proposed to you. That brief moment before you nodded back. You probably wouldn't know just how much it seemed like an eternity to me. Yes. I would have never thought that amount of time could feel like an eternity. Compared to how long I had to wait for you to propose to me, it was... From the moment I met you until today, compared to the time I've spent since I was born, it might only be a brief period, but they were definitely precious, beautiful days that deserve to be called an eternity. That time continues even now. From now on, I wonder if it'll be a boy, or maybe a girl. Either one is fine. Boy or girl, either way, it's living proof that we love each other.
I don't understand people who care if their child is a boy or a girl. I don't know why you'd care.
I don't know. It's straight people. I don't know. My parents were like, we want to be surprised. Woohoo! And then they got no gender. If it's a boy, we'll name it after you, Mamoru. If it's a girl, we'll put the Yuki from my name in hers. Okay, it has to be Yukie then. It has to be. I don't know. Thinking about names.
Maybe the anime just got it wrong from what
maybe
was intended.
Thinking about names is so fun that in the end we still haven't decided yet. Still time to puzzle over it. Not that long of a time, actually. You see, Yukie, there's something I have to apologize for today. It's about your job. Sorry. It looks like an annoying bit of work has come up. In the worst case, I might not be able to be there for the delivery. It's fine. You have a very important job. What you do protects the way we live. Compared to you, it's nothing. Please, go ahead. When you return, I'll be waiting here with our child. Thank you. Also, is this two people talking back and forth?
It is. There's not really a good way to tell, though.
Ah! Ikkyu, also, I'm sorry. Please don't apologize. If you feel guilty about it, then you could just atone. If I atone that much, no matter how much money I have, it won't be enough. I mean, if it's just each line back and forth, if you want to read every other line and I can read every other line, we could do that. So if you want to read the next one.
No, this one would be me. This one is Yukie.
This one?
This one is Yukie, yeah.
Okay. I can be Yukie if you want.
Sure.
It's a joke. It's a joke. This
is still you.
Now, go on. Why didn't they indicate that? Well, it's over anyway. Damn it. As I left the room, I bumped into an elderly man. It was Yukie's father. In other words, my father-in-law.
Father?
I didn't want to intrude, so I waited in the hall. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard. Go. Yukie is that kind of girl. No matter what happens, she doesn't want to hold you back.
I've forced Yukie to give up on so many things. To put her through this during childbirth is such an important time in her life. I'm ashamed.
If you really feel that way, when you're done with your work, make some time for Yukie. She'll be happier with that than you passing your work off on someone else.
Thank you.
I know full well you do important work. Be proud in what you do. Yukie is looking forward to your triumphant return.
Yes.
I jumped into the taxi that was waiting outside. Compared to the time when I first got here, the numbers on the fare meter had grown considerably. It seemed the modest time Yukie and I had spent together wasn't so modest from an objective point of view.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead.
No worries. Well then, off we go. Taxi jerked as it changed gears to accelerate, soon burying the hospital my wife was in behind a throng of buildings. If it was to end up as a really troublesome ordeal, I probably wouldn't be returning for quite some time. To call a rookie like me, and on top of that, one who's off duty, it seemed that the section chief was calling for all hands on deck. The veteran upper brass gathering on an emergency basis happened occasionally. This was the first time, though, that I experienced everybody gathering together like this. Whatever was happening, there was no doubt it was going to be something novel. Right when my wife was ready to give birth. If I wanted to spend the time to curse my misfortunes, I'd be here all day. Even the verdant ginkgo trees lining the street that always brightened my mood seemed to lack some of their usual luster. Eventually, the government office came into view. Briefly holding my breath, I let the feelings of tension course through my body once again.
Northern British moment. My breath.
My breath! I had to remember the work I was doing was important, necessary, and difficult. God, okay, tangent, real quick. So I played that game, Sorry We're Closed recently, and it's an incredibly British game. And then after I played it, I recommended it to Areki, and he played it, and there was a lot of British slang in it that I wasn't familiar with, and he wasn't either. So there was a line where this woman says, "It's been a bit since we've had proper chinwag." Basically,
You really never heard the term chinwag?
I've never heard chinwag. That's not something we say here. And
because your mouth is going up and down, so you're wagging your chin.
I get it. I had to look it up after proper chinwag. So Areki was like, "What the fuck? What does that mean?" I was like, "It's British. You got to do a British accent, Areki." And he was like, "I don't want to offend anybody." And then after he said that, I sent him a clip of me reading that line and going, "What the fuck, chinwag? It's been a bit since we had proper chinwag." And I was like, "You didn't want to offend anybody." I'm over here doing the worst British accent of my goddamn life.
Listen, it's time we took some L's.
I'm sorry. I love making fun of British accents.
No, you're right for that.
I'm right for that. It's okay.
You're right for that. We say weird shit.
British people aren't real. Their words and phrases are so bizarre. I mean, I've gotten into arguments with British people about, like, aubergine and eggplant. They're like, "Why do Americans call it eggplant?" And I'm like, because...
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck?
One, who gives a fuck? And two, why are you so elitist about the word used for eggplant? And three...
It's so stupid!
Because when an eggplant is young, it looks like a fucking egg, you dumb fuck. Anyway.
Aubergine. If I hadn't grown up with it, I'd prefer eggplant. Because eggplant
it's so
is
easy.
Only 2 syllables.
And then
Aubergine. It sounds French.
I really like the difference between arugula and rocket. Because in British, it's rocket. And I was like, why is it rocket? It's because they have the same etymology. They just turned into different things. That's why they sound, if you don't think about it very hard, that's why they sound similar, arugula and rocket.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love that shit. Anyway, why don't we celebrate?
For eggplant love, no one's stopping you. Oh, don't worry, I'm in love with eggplant. You don't gotta worry about a damn thing.
But why can't we just love the differences between our, like, vernacular? Why can't we just be like, damn, like, you do, but there are so many British people that are so elitist. Like, why do Americans say garbage can instead of bin? And it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. What the fuck is your problem?
It comes from, like, the long answer is that it comes from British culture being very insular and very much like blah 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 British Empire. We are the dregs of the royalists you couldn't decapitate and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
The short answer is British people stupid.
It's so dumb. I fucking hate how elitist also so many British people are about tea. When tea, they're not like the authority.
It's not even ours.
It's not even yours.
It's not even
It's
ours.
from China. And they'll be like, why are you putting ice in tea? Why are you icing tea? That's not the proper way. And it's like, the Chinese, they ice their tea, you fucking idiots.
Yeah. Also, not to vague, but I sometimes I still think about and get mad over that one person who was in your chat one time that tried to argue that curry was British.
That tikka masala? No. Listen, I bring this up all the time. It's fine. We can vague. Tazaro is there too.
That shit pissed me off so bad.
And then the Scottish person in the chat was like, bro, that didn't even happen in England.
Yes. Like, it was made by an Indian person for Western palates in Scotland. None of that is British.
Every time it comes up, I need to make this point. So he made chicken tikka, which is a dish from India. And then when the Duke complained it was too dry and wanted something different, what he ended up doing was making impromptu butter chicken. And then the British were like, oh, this is an amazing dish. It's like, bro, he just made butter chicken, but it was slightly different. My fucking god, because some Scottish dude was bitching. Anyway, that's our first tangent of the game.
Anyway, Akasaka's leaving his wife.
I had to remember the work I was doing was important, necessary, and difficult. I composed myself and sharpened my wit. Ready. Taxi stopped in front of the building. Metropolitan Police Department, Public Safety Division.
We have gone to more places in this first, like, half hour of game than we have the entire series prior.
Basically. You wanna be this guy?
Sure. Chief, everyone's here. Akasaka-kun, could you close the blinds?
The blinds were usually closed when they needed to use the projector, or if the discussion was going to contain some particularly disturbing content. The blinds closed with a satisfying sound, darkening the interior of the room. Immediately, the inside of the room was completely drained of the pleasant morning atmosphere, leaving behind only the cold illumination of the fluorescent lighting. After the supervisor ensured that everyone was present, he nodded to the section chief once again. Do you have any soup points?
I have so many points. I have like a 1.3k.
Let me see. No. Soup points.
Oh, right, they're different.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to check that.
Try to type exclamation point soup. Soup! Yeah! You expended a point. Apparently it does use up the points, and I didn't know. It was just automatically baked into it.
Sorry,
unfortunate.
Space, you're not funny enough.
No! Space, you gotta make some jokes that are good. You know what?
Don't vague my partner like that. That's so mean. Only I'm allowed to do that. There you go.
With everyone on the edge of their seats, the chief stood up solemnly and began to give his report.
Approximately 48 hours ago, the Minister of Construction's grandson, who was also the son of one of his staff leaders, is believed to have been kidnapped. It is believed the minister, in an effort to resolve matters amicably, chose not to report the situation to the police and plans to cede to the demands imposed upon him.
It seemed that approximately 48 hours earlier, the Minister of Construction's grandson, who's also the son of one of his senior staff members, was kidnapped. The reason why it was phrased that way was because the person in question didn't admit it had happened.
Based on the results of surveillance conducted over the minister's residence, multiple suspicious phone calls from what is believed to be outside the city took place. The abducted child is said to be under treatment for some illness, but there's no trace of any hospital records or witnesses to such effect. Due to that and various other reasons, we believe without a doubt that a kidnapping has occurred.
Here, they omitted the details that brought this incident to light. If you think about it a bit, that meant that before this incident happened, the minister's residence had been under surveillance already. I won't use the words spied on. Of course, there wouldn't have been court approval for this, and it would have been very hard to explain to ordinary citizens. Oh wait, no! There's an ad break, no!
Oh, shoot. Oh,
Is that okay? Okay, yeah, that's fine. There's nothing crazy happening right now.
We can TLDR after the ad break.
Alright. However, it was quite an effective method to catch wind of incidents like this before they got worse. I'd like for you to understand that dealing with these cases before they become a problem is the job of the Public Safety Division. Oh.
Why is he just following their demands instead of reporting this to the police? The fact that a minister can't even trust the police, what is the world coming to? It seems the group of perpetrators demonstrated they have quite a high level of surveillance on the minister themselves when they conducted the kidnappings. Enough to give the minister pause before calling the police. We'll find out right away if they call the cops, more or less. So it's possible that there's a mole close to the minister.
Several of the higher-ranking members who seem to have experience with this kind of thing let out deep sighs.
The goals of the perpetrators, their demands, as well as this entire incident are as of yet unclear. But in any case, the possibility that this may grow to threaten national interest is extremely high.
If their goal was to simply have their demands met for monetary gain, that would have been nice. However, if this was some politically motivated shakeup, things would get a lot more complicated.
Since we're not receiving any cooperation from the victim, that means that we're not privy to any of the details of the threats or demands. Due to the fact that there may be a mole involved in this incident, this investigation is highly classified. Only the people in this room are to know of this. Furthermore, as this case is our utmost priority, we'll be placing a hold on everyone's normal duties. Understood?
After that, the supervisor continued on, tactfully explaining our course of action. Hey, Gob! If this incident were to become public, it was possible that the minister's political life would be over. I'll spare you the explanation of how the rest of the dominoes would fall, but in the end, support in the Diet would decline, followed by a no-confidence vote and a snap election, and it might even expand communist influences. Oh no! In other words, we wanted to handle this delicately.
Kawasaki and Saiki monitor communications from the minister and the child's residences 24/7. Find out what the minister is doing. Report anything that happens. The remaining members investigate whatever is related to the case as assigned to your units. Focus your line of investigation on the commies, Reds, and Confeds. Don't discount the possibility of foreign involvement either.
Red Scare. I've experienced one or two unamicable situations before. This, however, was the first time I've seen things get so hectic. Hello, welcome back from the ad. What has happened?
TLDR, minister's son has gone missing. Primary suspects are foreign influences or communists.
Yep. Several sophisticated conversations were progressing without the involvement of a rookie like me. I didn't intend to be timid, but I couldn't hide my confusion at this unfamiliar situation.
And cover that. As for Akasaka-kun...
I snapped back to alertness upon hearing my name called.
Yes. You investigate the environmental groups that have petitioned the minister.
Should I be this guy? I know, yeah, okay. Among them, there's that group protesting the Hinamizawa Dam project that made the papers. Make sure you investigate them thoroughly. I doubt this is the act of some citizen group, but we have to eliminate every possibility we can.
Understood. So, those opposed to the Hinamizawa Dam...
Oops.
Wow. The menu's opposed to the Hinamizawa Dam.
Damn. It's also red! Like communism! Fuck! The Red Scare! It's probably best if you go to the location personally. Get some information from the local authorities. They're a fairly radical organization, so the Public Safety Division there should have them marked as well. Who? That just, tripped a flag in my Final Fantasy VII brain. Who the fuck was the lead of Public Safety Division? Was that Reeve? I don't remember.
I think so.
I think it was Reeve.
I'll head over there.
Or maybe it was technically Scarlet, because she was in charge of the weapons development. Maybe it was Heidegger.
I'm pretty sure it was Reeve.
Okay, maybe it was Reeve. Yeah, it's space. Yeah, I think you're both right. Your wife, she's almost ready to give birth, isn't she? I apologize for the timing of all this, but I'm counting on your cooperation. We can't take our time with this, so we just have to brute force it with our boots to the ground.
Yeah, I know. My wife hates to interfere with my work with her own circumstances anyways.
Sorry, and thanks. So then, as for Kawasaki-kun and Saiki-kun, to help support your, I didn't want to take a business trip when my wife was about to give birth. Even if I was a little busy, as long as I was in Tokyo, I could head to the hospital right away. On assignment, though, that would be difficult. Even so, I knew the work I was doing was important, and fully understood that I was in no position to be selfish. So, is his wife, in labor right now?
She is not in labor. She is very close to it. She is maybe, like, a week or two from predicted delivery.
So why is she in the hospital already? Is that a thing everywhere else? Because in America, we don't do that.
It depends on the case here. Like, I think the implication here is that because he's not going to be around, she needs someone to take care of her.
I see. Okay, I get, but I don't know. I've just known so many, like, very, independent pregnant women who don't have anybody around, and they're, like, about to give birth in, like, a week. They don't stay in the hospital until they're about to give birth. In pregnancy...
In general, you don't go to the hospital here until you give birth, but, like...
Wait, what does that mean to Zara? In Japan, pregnancy is 10 months? Do they...
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Is it just longer? Japanese people have longer pregnancies? What does that mean?
Maybe she has a miscarriage history? That's a good point, Clockwork Piece. Also welcome.
Yeah, it's just information that we don't get if that's the case.
Yeah. Even so.
It depends on the person how fat their wallet is. That's true.
I knew the work I was doing was important and fully understood that I was in no position to be selfish. I'd have to make it up to my wife for having to be away at such an important time. My wife, Yukie, would probably forgive me with a smile. The only thing she could hate doing would be holding me back. My male ego, though, at least wished she would have tried to stop me. Sorry, Yukie. I don't mind if you always complain to our child that their father wouldn't come to the hospital when they were born because he was too busy with work. Extra care term included in their way of handling pregnancies. Oh, I see.
Oh.
The next day, I took the bullet train to Nagoya, and from there, transferred to the train to blank prefecture.
I love you, bullet train. Shinkansen, my beloved.
Getting to my destination by land took several hours. If I was traveling by air in that amount of time, I could Let's try that again. In that amount of time, I could probably get as far as Hong Kong. Redacted prefecture was by no means close. I never sat in first class except for work, but whenever I did, the seats seemed stiff. They also take a pride in never showing, so maybe she takes the window to allow the kid to stretch out too. Interesting. Closing my eyes, I mentally reviewed the documents I read yesterday. The group under investigation, the Onigafuchi Guardians. They were a group of residents opposed to the development proposed under the Hinamizawa Dam project. The local protests were quite heated and were getting more radicalized. Even limited to what was written in the newspapers, there was bloodshed that occurred during a clash with riot police, interference with the dam construction, too many to count. The number of petitions, sit-ins, and direct appeals to the relevant organizations were innumerable. As an extension of that, there was a direct appeal to the Minister of Construction the other day.
This was the reason why we were investigating this group in the first place.
The land that they lived on was going to be submerged, so it was no wonder they would go into a frenzy over it. Even given that, though, could they really be capable of doing something like kidnapping the Minister of Construction's grandson in order to halt the project? From my take on it, I had serious doubts. This kidnapping plot was extremely sophisticated and complicated enough that it was believed there was some political backing. This wasn't something that could be pulled off by some group of local protesters. Well, just like the chief said, the plan was to eliminate all possibilities. While I'm in the redacted police's reference room, taking my time investigating, the higher-ups in Tokyo would probably solve the case, without my involvement entirely. Even if that was true, I couldn't regret being away from Tokyo while my wife was ready to give birth. This was work. There was really nothing that I could do. Ding dong! The announcement that we would be arriving at our destination soon snapped me back to wakefulness. Gogura, blank prefecture, prefectural public safety division. So easy to forget with all this weird time shit and demons or ghosts and shit that there's just like a very normal political background to it all. Yeah!
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
The Onigafuchi Guardians.
I think you were the chief. And I was...
This is a different chief, but you can...
Oh, I'll be
I
the...
can take it again.
I can be the chief. If we're going back and forth, I would...
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been quite active around here. The Prefectural Public Safety Department already had the documents and a cup of tea ready and waiting for me. The short of it is they're a group of residents opposed to the dam. Really, it's probably better to say that every resident living on the land that's going to be submerged is rising to action, though. Like the old saying, fight to the last. They're a determined and well-prepared lot. It'd be nice if they drew the line at just being a moderate residential organization. The stack of papers they had prepared for me in the document room was by no means thin. At first, they were pretty much your average citizen's initiative, but ever since that incident with the riot police, they've really started to heat up. Now they've got a violent mentality on top of growing increasingly radical. Violent organizations usually indicate ones that enforce their own ideology without regard to the democratic process. Breaking that down, many of those organizations held extreme left revolutionary ideologies. Fuck yeah, let's go! Woke! Woke! Considering that, I couldn't help but be surprised that a citizens group would end up going this far. Let's go!
It's really interesting to be in the head of someone on the bad side.
Yeah. No, it's like, why wouldn't these people revolt? Their homes are being swept away by water. Are they being compensated? Are they gonna be like actually like, all right, you guys gotta move out. Here we have some places ready for you to move to that are nicer. Let's go. I'd be okay with that. I mean,
But even so,
Yeah.
like, even if those things were in place, they shouldn't have to move.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't just be able to uproot people unless, like, it is a specific danger to their life that they're going to be there.
Yeah. You know, it's a very common thing around here to have people living in a building and have them get notices like, hey, we're gonna destroy this building in a month, so move out in a month. And they don't get, like, you know...
Yeah.
They don't
that
have
should be illegal. That should be very illegal.
No, it is a very common thing that happens here in America. Yippee! Radical citizens movements happen occasionally. It seemed, however, that this group was nothing as trifling as that. There was a building right next to us that happened like a year ago with, and then they replaced them with nicer apartments. And I'm like, well, did you give them those apartments? To the people that you kicked out of that old building? You fuckers? No, of course they didn't.
Rich, young families.
We have to give them to rich people. Families. We gotta give them to rich people who work in Chicago. Yippee. It seemed, however, that this group was nothing as trifling as that. It seemed that I would have to reconsider exactly what this Onigafuchi Guardians was.
The Guardians' demands, in other words, the withdrawal of the dam project. How far would they go to have that demand met?
God, I just read that in, like, in my head, in Zavala from Destiny's voice. Guardian. The Guardians' demand. In other words. Ah, man. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson was classified. That meant, of course, I couldn't tell the blank prefectural department about it either. Unless you make 7 or more figures, you don't matter. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, JM. radicalizing. As you know, there were arrests after last week's confrontation with Minister Inukai. There's enough reason to believe that they could use illegal means to assert their demands. I skimmed over the list of the criminal records related to the Onigafuchi Guardians recorded in the documents. The contents were all violent, not giving me the barest hint of a feeling that these people were trying to uphold the law.
Could you give me a basic rundown of the types of illegal activities the Onigafuchi Guardians are engaging in?
I highly recommend getting involved in local fights about projects and housing. It both breaks your heart and makes you fall in love with parts of your town. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Get involved in that shit. Get involved, folks! The chief opened up a manila envelope, fished out several unorganized sheets, and spread them out on the desk. It seems that raids on the construction site are the most common. At first, they were committing relatively petty crimes like cutting power cords, jamming locks, and breaking office windows by throwing rocks. Of course, what really happened first were things like demonstrations, sit-ins, and distribution of pamphlets. Lively but democratic forms of protest. However, then the demonstrators and police clashed, which started a riot, leading to numerous injuries and arrests. It was from then on that the Onigafuchi Guardians, like their name implies, began to take a more demonic form of resistance. Here's the thing. Peaceful protests don't ever get anywhere. I'm not telling you this. I'm not the one saying these things. I have heard peaceful protests don't get anywhere. It's when you start doing shit like this that change actually happens.
Yup. If the raids were frequent, didn't the local police up their patrols?
Well, of course they were on full alert, but they were up against locals, you know? There wasn't much the police could do if they were sneaking around under the cover of darkness. You might as well label the entire map of Hinamizawa village around the dam construction site enemy territory. No matter how alert the police were, the locals would just show them exactly how easy it was to sneak around. Actually, it was after the police upped security that the protesters started getting ever more extreme, as though they were being provoked. See here? Can you tell how things started to heat up? Quite literally.
An office set on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction of heavy construction equipment. Destruction? They couldn't have used explosives?
No way. You see, they crammed the gas tanks full of sugar cubes. If they do that, it fouls the engines. Even in Japan, it seemed there had been people doing that to the vehicles of occupying forces right after the war. Compared to misdemeanors like breaking windows, it was extremely violent and aggressive.
After being toyed around with to that extent, the local police have completely lost face.
The arson was a bit much. After that, the local police drastically increased the number of personnel they had stationed there around the clock. The raids on the construction site quieted down a bit after that. He used the words quieted down, but that was still smack dab in the middle of the list of crimes. See, after that, after they found that attacking the site had become difficult, they started resorting to personal attacks. The first people targeted were the construction workers. After that, there was silence. What was being described to me was a guerrilla war fought in the jungle. Threats and violence against the workers. Harsh words and harsher rocks were thrown.
There's quite a list of accusations there, but that's not a whole lot of convictions.
Of course not. First of all, there's no witnesses. On top of that, even if we identify the perpetrators, they have alibis coming out of the woodwork.
What do you mean by that?
The arson was a bit much as a hilarious line out of context. In context, it's kind of funny too. Take for example, you're walking around Hinamizawa when a certain man stabs you with a knife. You remember the person clearly and even know his name and address. However, the knife doesn't have any fingerprints on it, and there's no other physical evidence. Well, you'd think this would be a run-of-the-mill case of assault, wouldn't you? In Hinamizawa, though, it's a perfect crime. Everybody is, the entire village, they're all in on it. To protect the man who was the perpetrator, they'll get their stories straight and prepare an alibi. To that end, they'll probably even forge some evidence. There's nothing they can do but put them on trial. On top of there not being any material evidence, though, people testify one after another to cover his side of the story. Any prosecutor would hesitate to file charges. I'm not sure about murder, but if it's something like opening a gash on somebody's forehead with a thrown rock or leaving a bruise after hitting someone, even if you could single out the suspect, there's enough reasonable doubt to not convict. Every case is without a doubt perpetrated by someone in Hinamizawa, but they can't identify who. Even if they could figure out who it is, they're unable to obtain enough circumstantial evidence through due process. Remember the golden rule! Shut the fuck up! You and your friends were not there. Thank you. That is a very important addition to our talk about protest. The villagers were all extremely well informed about this, and so the malicious, vicious, and tenacious, that's a great line, personal attacks continued.
The victims can't have been okay with that, right? Couldn't they have filed for appeal?
Well, you see, about that, everybody on the inquest committee didn't want to get involved with something so troublesome. They won't stick their noses into anything related to Hinamizawa. The inquest committee is comprised of a random selection of local residents. In the event that the prosecutor fails to get a conviction, they have the power to order a retrial. It's a system designed to assert the will of the people on the actions of expert prosecutors in the legal world. In this case, however, being composed of local residents has backfired.
Then they don't want to get involved? Why is that?
How do I explain this? You could say they're afraid, since it's a little special there.
Special? Is it an outcast community?
No, it's a little different from that. Well, just think of it as them being afraid. It's a little hard to explain it just now. Oh, right, there's an easier way. Wiping his forehead with a handkerchief, he opened a file labeled as a list of members of the Onigafuchi Guardians. The power of the Onigafuchi Guardians, you see, is the fact that they count many people among their members who are influential in neighboring areas. Did you take a look at this? I looked. What I saw startled me. Prefectural and municipal assembly members, staff members of the Chamber of Commerce, an executive of a business association, an executive of a town council association, and a PTA liaison. Liaison? I always forget. Liaison. I was right the first time. There are more than a few people with a lot of say, both locally and in the neighboring regions. Around here, you could pretty much expect your actions to be observed by those against the dam project. If you said something in its support, who knows how it'd work out to your disadvantage. In any case, every town in this area is being held by the throat by somebody from Hinamizawa.
The list of Inquisition committee members is undisclosed, isn't it? There has to be some measures in place to make sure they'd avoid retribution, no?
Well, it is undisclosed, so their privacy is assured, but the person in charge of that is from the Okinomiya Municipal Office. In other words, a local. While you might expect some professional confidentiality, you can't know how everybody is connected. The people from Hinamizawa have a lot of tight bonds in that regard. When you consider the obligations and duties people have to the region, the web of information thereby formed is nothing to scoff at. It's not uncommon for housewives in a neighborhood to know which kid from which house is what grade in which school, what subjects they're good at, and what vegetables they hate, among other things. You see, there's a Yakuza organization here with strong ties to Hinamizawa and the surrounding area. It would seem that they're providing full support in these recent incidents. They seem to be proving most effective.
Gangsters siding together with the residents opposed to the construction of the dam? It's a little hard to see what their common interest is.
It's not that difficult at all. You see, actually, one of the lieutenants in that gang is originally from Hinamizawa. He was adopted into a rather influential family in the village. Exactly what was this Hinamizawa? I had thought it was some desolate rustic village. However, for some reason, they exerted a strong influence on the surrounding areas and had a strong sense of unity. They would protect their village by any means necessary, even if that meant resorting to violence. The chief had said they were afraid because there were numerous influential people living there. But somehow, I got the feeling they were afraid of the village itself. There was something clearly different from what I had read in the documents in Tokyo. This was no simple residential protest against the dam. For some reason, an uneasy feeling began to nestle itself at the back of my mind. I chose the most basic way to ask my question. In other words, I directly asked what I wanted to know.
Chief, this is just a hypothetical situation, but...
Huh?
This Onigafuchi Guardians, in order to halt the dam project, do you think they could, say, threaten somebody important to accomplish that?
The chief replied immediately. It's possible. Truth be told, they've already gone to municipal and prefectural offices, as well as local offices of the Ministry of Construction, and done things that could be construed as intimidation. Several of the workers' families have also reported that they're being followed around by some suspicious people. Well, that would make sense. To halt progress on the dam, they raided the construction site, destroying heavy machinery and lighting the construction office on fire. If they didn't have any qualms about doing that, threats and violence against people related to the dam would probably be no problem. But that was it. Even your everyday hoodlum could use threats and violence. However, this time it was the kidnapping of the minister's grandson, an abnormally high-level crime. Not only was pulling off the kidnapping difficult in the first place, but so was maneuvering to have the minister surrender to their demands immediately. There was no way this was the work of amateurs. Did these people have the power to enact this large of a crime? That was the heart of the matter. Was the Onigafuchi Guardians an organization capable of pulling this off? And in order to ask that question once again, I chose the most basic method.
Again, hypothetically, do you think they could kidnap a relative of someone of political importance?
There's no way they could pull off something that big. That was the answer I most hoped for. If it was that answer, my work was as good as halfway done. I might be able to get back in time for my wife to give birth. That was how it was supposed to be. The chief, without a hint of hesitation.
Thank you, Poultry.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, 51 months. Jesus. Thank you so much.
Oof.
They just might. There's no telling how far they'd go. Sorry, Yukie. Seemed like my work wouldn't end so simply after all. Oh. Akasaka-kun. Good work. How's the information gathering at your assigned region?
It's coming along. It seems I'll be able to meet with their local public safety department, so I'm planning on heading out that way. How's the investigation in Tokyo going?
Oh, is this the other chief?
Yeah, I mean, you can just take him.
All right. Yeah. The others are progressing along, but the number of groups we have to investigate are countless. Time isn't really a luxury here. There were no new developments at this time. No matter how suspicious the Onigafuchi Guardians was, they solved the case in Tokyo. My job was done. It looked like my wishful thinking wouldn't come to pass. Hanging up the phone, I let my gaze drift outside the window to the valley of unfamiliar buildings. Akasaka-san, a car you can borrow just returned. I'll take you to it, so follow me.
Thank you.
He showed me the elevator to the underground parking lot where a battered sedan was waiting for me. That the steering wheel kept driving to the left was a little concerning, but it would be enough to get me around for a while. Oh, I love this background. It's blurry.
Because you're moving. You're schmoving.
Schmovin. My destination was Shishibone City, Blank Prefecture, an area under the control of the Onigafuchi Guardians. The Okinomiya police station was right on the front lines. Wahoo! Nice. I forget, have you, like, did I show you my new alerts, or...
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen them now, but... I love them. I'm so proud of them.
They're great.
Shishibone City was, as far as provincial cities went, rather behind the times. Okinomiya, recessed in the mountains, was even more remote. Recessed! Is it recessed when used in that context? Sounds better
I
that
think
way.
it would be recessed.
All right.
But also, who cares?
Who cares? With little change between the seasons, all that was left was the tepid passage of time. I almost said tepid massage. That's not the right word. It made for a rather drab town. There were no tourist attractions or local delicacies. Without even a strong regional industry, it was simply dull. Damn, vague post in this town. Just looking at the monotonous and peaceful townscape, it was hard to catch a glimpse of the radical resistance of the Onigafuchi Guardians. The atmosphere of boredom didn't hint of the Okinomiya police station being on the front lines of the dam conflict, nor of the numerous incidents that I heard about at the prefectural headquarters. Office
Good
worker.
morning. Are you here to pay a fine? No, I have an appointment with Hondaya-san from the Public Safety Division. Please tell him it's Akasaka. My apologies. Please wait a minute.
The clerk, who thought I was here for a parking violation at first glance, after fumbling with the unfamiliar extension number, told the person on the line they had a visitor. I can be Hondaya if we're gonna go back and forth. Welcome, welcome. Akasaka-san, was it? It must have been tiring traveling out all this way. Sorry we have to do this here. I tried to reserve a reception room, you see. But the counselor suddenly woke up and chased me out. I would hesitate to call where we were a conference room, as it was very small and cluttered. Cramped space was packed with lockers. I had the impression that it was more of a change room that doubled as one for smoking. Listening to his crude chortles, I didn't get much of a feeling that Hondaya, who was head of the local public safety division, was much of an intellectual. I want to make him sound like...
Get his ass.
Get his ass. I want to make him sound like Heidegger now.
Do it.
But I knew that, in exchange, he had both experience and absolute confidence in his instincts.
I apologize for interrupting you during such a busy time. I'm Akasaka from the Metropolitan Police Department. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Hondaya from the Public Safety Division. Nice to meet ya. I was threatened by Sankai from the prefectural gangbusters to be generous with my cooperation.
Gangbusters? You mean the Prefectural Crime Prevention Division?
You see, we're treating the Onigafuchi Guardians as an extension of the local Yakuza. You'd have to be a newbie if you think they're just a residential protest group. They said at the prefectural office, too, that the Onigafuchi Guardians was linked to the local mob. If I recall correctly, the adopted son of somebody influential was a lieutenant in that gang. It's the other way around. The complete opposite. The Yakuza put up the protest group as a front to justify their actions. Just think of it like that. Completely the other way around. Hondaya was just about rolling with laughter. This was slightly different than the info given to me at the prefectural office, but somebody embedded locally would be more knowledgeable. While we were talking, occasionally some people who seemed to be detectives would come in and change. One of those individuals, noticing Hondaya's guffaws, came up to us. Yeah!
I was wondering what you guys were talking about. Did you miss me? It's still blue.
Ah! Oh, I hate him! You know what? I feel the same way I feel for Hank Schrader as I feel for Oishi.
Who the fuck is Hank Schrader?
The guy from, Hank from Breaking Bad.
Oh, God, I forgot his second name completely.
I don't know. For some reason, everybody in Breaking Bad, I think of their whole name instead of just their first name. I do the same voice as you. Oh, Kura-chan. Perfect timing. Why don't you join us? This here is Inspector Akasaka, who came all the way from the Tokyo Police Department. Wahaha!
Wrong person. They're both gray. An inspector. I'm still a rookie. My name is Akasaka. Pleased to meet you. It must be nice to be so fresh-faced. Now here's my part. Oishi's gonna be pretty heavy this chapter, and it's only just occurring to me. Would you like to take Akasaka, and I will take his buddy cop here, Oishi?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
You'd be Akasaka from now on.
All right.
It must be so nice to be so fresh-faced. Did they hire you this year?
I couldn't help but think I was being ridiculed, so I only responded with a forced smile. I could tell that this new person was like Hondaya, the type who had confidence in their instincts and experience, and they also laugh at the end of every line they say. I really didn't like those types of people. You said you wanted to be Hondaya?
No, I'm gonna be Oishi
Oh, okay.
for like most of this chapter. So if you want to take Akasaka.
Okay, I'll also be Hondaya then. Let me introduce you, Akasaka-san. This is Oishi-kun from our investigative department. Regarding the S-file you were asking about, he's familiar with it. S-file?
S.
Oh.
S for Sonozaki. If something is an S-file, it means it has something to do with the Sonozaki family. It's something of a code.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the science fiction crime mystery show. X-Files. Oh. Sonozaki.
No.
Oh. Come to think of it, I remembered when I was poring over the documents at headquarters, there were quite a few people with the last name Sonozaki popping up. If I remember right, there's a Sonozaki who was one of the executives of the Onigafuchi Guardians. I'm pretty sure they're the treasurer. The two of them were surprised when I rattled off what post that Sonozaki held. After a moment, both of them erupted into laughter.
Akasaka-san, was it? You're quite the studious one. Could it be you've memorized all the central figures in the Alliance?
I wouldn't say memorized exactly, but I've at least read the list of Onigafuchi Guardians executives.
Then who are the president and vice president?
The president is the mayor of Hinamizawa, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi. The vice president is the priest of the local shrine, Furude. The treasurer is Oryo Sonozaki. The auditor is Makino. The liaison is Yoshiroshi Kimiyoshi. The PR head is Sadao Sonozaki.
I wish I had a name as melodic as Yoshiroshi. What was it? Go back. Can you bring up the log?
Yoshiroshi
Fucking-
Kimiyoshi.
Yeah, I wish
What
I had
if-
a name like that.
Holy shit, that's the coolest name ever. Yoshiroshi Kimiyoshi. You can make a song out of that. Damn.
For sure. Akasaka-san, you're pretty good. The pay sucks, but you want to work here? You're just the type we're looking for. By the way, Sadao Sonozaki is the head of the youth department. So close. The head of public relations is actually Tadataka Sonozaki.
Feeling like I wasn't being complimented at all, I started settling into an uncomfortable mood. However, I was becoming more and more aware that I was the weakest link in the investigation, so I just had to bear with it. I didn't mean for that feeling to show up on my face, but the crafty detectives didn't let that slip by.
I didn't mean to make fun of you. To make up for it, why don't I show you around the village?
For somebody with no feel for the area like me, it would be a great help. I couldn't have asked for more.
In the end, the Onigafuchi Guardians is nothing more than an alliance Hinamizawa was using to deal with the outside world.
What is Oishi going to do in this chapter without any children to threaten? Oh, they're still there. They're just babies. Oh, sorry.
In the end. Oh, I think getting to know the village would speed up your work.
The residential movement, in other words, held influence over the whole region. So the leader of the movement was the leader of that influence. Just like that, the thought processes in the region would become the overall personality of the movement. Just like Oishi had said, in order to learn what they were really like, this regional force behind the dam protests, getting to know the village was the quickest way. If you would! Nodding back without skipping a beat, Oishi laughed in satisfaction and stood up. If I took the information I learned at the prefectural office and from Hondaya to heart, my position was exposed, my personal safety was at risk. The opponent was an extremist group that had no qualms about using threats or violence against somebody. If my personal info was leaked, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that I'd be in danger. whether on the job or not. Thinking that, I felt a little nervous.
These guys are quick to remember faces. If you're seen with me, they'll probably do a lot to hinder your work. This might be a little cliche, but put these on.
Oishi handed me an incredibly suspicious disguise comprised of a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a mask. I didn't want to get all hot and stuffy, but Oishi's warning was probably right on the money. Considering that, I put them on with appreciation. It looked so suspicious that Oishi had to smile wryly.
How much did I tell you again?
To the part where you were talking about how these three ancient families control the village. The Onigafuchi Guardians was the same as the village of Hinamizawa itself. Meaning there was a direct correlation between being an executive in the Alliance and being a leader in the village, as Hondeya had told me a short time ago. If the village was ruled by three ancient families, then it would mean the Onigafuchi Guardians was ruled by those same three families.
What did the documents of the prefectural office say about the leader of the Guardians and whatnot?
The documents I was using were classified. If I responded to Oishi's question, it'd be a breach of security. However, most likely, this man, I judged, was more well-versed in the situation than any of the documents at the prefectural police department, so I decided to answer him. That the president of the Alliance is the current mayor of the village, Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Oishi, upon hearing that, let out a small chuckle. For him to ask like that and to laugh at the answer as it was recorded in the documents, and that wasn't the case in reality. So then, that means that there's somebody else other than Kimiyoshi behind the scenes, contrary to what the prefectural office thinks, or rather, what is commonly known.
Old man Kimiyoshi is nothing more than a figurehead. In the first place, the post of the mayor in that village is nothing more than ceremonial.
In other words, there's someone else in charge of both the Alliance and the village? Would that be the three families we just talked about?
Well, I'll explain that part right now.
All of a sudden, with a thunk, the car suddenly lurched. The paved road had given way to a gravel one. At the same time, the scenery outside the window changed. The Hinamizawa Dam project must be withdrawn. Overthrow the shameless puppet of a governor. The dam will submerge the natural beauty of Hinamizawa. Protect the village from the unethical dam. Fear the wrath of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Demolish the dam. Those involved must go away. The construction office must respond. The construction office manager must negotiate with us. Signs and banners crowded the roadside. Even reading the brush-scrawled words was daunting. It was as though where the road just changed was a border with a different country. At that moment, I was startled by the car suddenly braking. Looking ahead, a barricade had been erected. About 5 or 6 protesters, wearing masks and helmets to hide their faces, were blocking the road, yelling at us angrily to stop. What is this? A checkpoint?
These guys never learn.
Oishi snorted as he rolled down the window and leaned out.
Hey, you guys, you can't be blocking the road like this here.
As Oishi glared at them with a malicious laugh, they visibly faltered.
Clear the way. We can't get by like this.
Who would have thought it was Oishi's car? That panicked thought seemed to make them lose their presence of mind. You can be that guy.
If we had known it was your car, Detective Oishi, we wouldn't have been so rude. Detective, what happened to your usual car? Is it in for maintenance? Something like that. I just can't get used to this car they loaned me.
Judging from their brief conversation, I could guess that they were familiar with the license plate of the car Oishi normally used. In other words, if they knew the car belonged to the police, they would have hidden the barricade. What they were doing was obviously obstruction of traffic. A blatant crime.
Who's that suspicious guy? You. Could you show us your face?
The man glared at me menacingly. Wearing a mask and sunglasses made me look particularly dubious. Would not showing my face get me into some unnecessary trouble? I turned to Oishi to see what I should do.
Give him a break. You're still a shy little rookie. We just wanted to make sure he wasn't anybody suspicious. Hinamizawa has been in a bit of a stir as of late. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? That mask you're wearing is way more suspicious.
The men in Oishi continued to talk like that, feigning smiles at one another. However, from the beginning to the end, I couldn't get over the feeling I was sitting on a powder keg.
Has the number of trucks illegally dumping still not decreased? It's a real hassle dealing with it all the time. If the police could understand and cooperate, it would really help.
During that conversation, the barricade was moved, leaving a gap wide enough for a single car to get through. Oishi lightly honked the horn once and began to roll the car forward. I could see the men's antagonistic glares at the back of the car in the rearview mirror. It paints a menacing picture. What was that just now? Blocking a public road like that?
Of course it's a crime. Still, if you get worked up over that, it'll never end. Those guys, see, claim there's an infestation of trucks illegally dumping in the village. Their story goes that in order to stop that, they're halting suspicious vehicles for inspections.
Illegal dumping? Like corrupt contractors just tossing industrial waste away?
Their line of argument is that if the police aren't going to do anything about it, they'll take matters into their own hands. Well, the industrial waste is just something they're doing by themselves anyway.
By themselves?
They have pretty good strategy. You see, in order to hinder construction, they've spread industrial waste over by the dam site. Then, blaming it on corrupt contractors, they start instituting these inspections. There, they stop every construction vehicle going through and interfere with them as much as possible.
So then, it's one of the methods the Onigafuchi Guardians is using.
With that inspection just now, this car's license plate has probably been recorded. It shouldn't get stopped from here on out. These guys know very well not to get me angry. See, rumor is that if they figure a car is related to the construction in some way, not only would there be checkpoints stopping it at every turn, but they'd be throwing rocks and planting road spikes as well. It's best you be careful so you're not identified. If they find out you're on public safety, who knows what you'll suffer through.
Oishi was acting like we were talking about something fun, but for me, it was no laughing matter. It almost feels like we've wandered into a civil war in the Middle East. Wow. Wow.
That's a good way of putting it. It's pretty much just what you said.
Oishi turned to me with a grin and a menacing laugh.
You see, this here's a war zone.
The car slowed down a bit as it went down a narrow road through some farmland.
You see that house in that forest over there? That's an antiquated one?
Looking at where Oishi was pointing, there certainly was an old traditionally designed house.
That belongs to the mayor, old man Kimiyoshi. You could say it belongs to the main Kimiyoshi house as well. There's a lot of branches, but they'd be one of the three families.
The three families. The ancient families that control Hinamizawa.
That's right. And one of the others is the Furude family. Their house doesn't even have a single branch, as all that's left is the head priest's family. Right over there, there's the shrine. He's the priest there. By the way, the Guardian's office is on the grounds of that shrine.
The office of the Onigafuchi Guardians. These guys were the enemy. That would make the shrine their stronghold. Can we go look over there?
The shrine is the Furude family's private property, you see. Being police, we can't set foot there without a warrant. See, they've got a member of the Diet with ties to the village backing them up. Basically, being the police has its strengths and weaknesses. Well, even when we talk about the three families, that's something from a long time ago. Way back then, those three families used to hold council to decide things about the village.
Meaning, it's different now?
You've got a pretty good nose. That's what I expect from an academic.
The car braked to a halt with a Hopefully it won't happen again. It seems to be...
It starts in 58 seconds. No, it doesn't. I'm snoozing it.
Alright, well, we'll get through this scene, hopefully. Before the internet drops again. Yippee! Discord didn't send out the notif. I forgot! So Dino now, you have to pay for it to do the stream
What?
notification.
That's crazy. That's such a basic feature.
Yeah, no. So I have to look for something else to do the automated. I could
Bitch.
probably do it with Mix It Up, honestly. I could figure out how to do that. But until then, you know what? Let me make a note. Set up
Everybody back?
auto notif. Yeah, that's why Dinobot stopped working. So that's fun. That's cool. We be here. Yahoo! Alright. Let's do it!
Woo!
Ahead of where we were stopped were several signs. Private property beyond. No trespassing. Beware of poisonous snakes! Both Sonozaki's. Danger, turn back. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. Signs were erected there with things like that written on them. The road is separated from the forest by a chain-link fence wrapped in barbed wire.
Since this is private property, this is as far as we go. There's several surveillance cameras set up further in. Saying that we just got lost won't work it with these guys.
Wait, hold on. Damn it. That's fine. They're beyond here, right? People currently controlling Hinamizawa and the Onigafuchi Guardians were neither the Kimiyoshi family nor the Furude family, but the last of the three.
Yeah. Beyond here is one of the three families, the Sonozaki family. They're the ones controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows.
Among the list of executives recorded in the documents, the number of people with last names from the three families was quite high. Of course, Sonozaki was no exception. However, at the top was the Kimiyoshi family. If the Kimiyoshi family seemed to be in charge, the rulers behind the scenes were the Sonozaki family. This double-layered structure implicitly told me that this village had both a light and dark side.
The current head of the Sonozaki family is an old lady named Orio. She has enough clout that you could call her Empress Sonozaki. Be careful. She's no small fry. She's enough of a VIP that even the mayor of the city has to bow before her. Well, in Hinamizawa and the surrounding area, their relatives are amount to a block of several thousand votes. No politician should show disrespect for that. I just saw you pop up in the bottom again. Did we lose it again?
No. OBS is still connected.
Okay, cool.
Nice. In other words, that would make her the actual leader of the Onigafuchi Guardians, right?
You've got it.
With those words, Oishi pulled out a well-worn cigarette box. The suspected kidnapping of the minister's grandchild and subsequent threats. Were these part of the hidden plot by the Onigafuchi Guardians in order to have the Hinamizawa Dam project cancelled?
You came all the way from Tokyo to investigate this, didn't you?
Huh? Yeah, that's right. Something the matter?
Then, is it related to that direct appeal incident with Mr. Inikai? If that's the case, the public safety has them marked on a watch list. This is me opening my cigarettes and definitely not my candy. Something like that.
Having you guess that so quickly makes this easy. While exhaling out cigarette smoke, Oishi smiled broadly, like I just pulled a good one on him. Or so I thought. His smile disappeared suddenly.
That's a lie, isn't it?
Huh?
I mean, the direct appeal putting them on a watch list. That's a lie, isn't it?
Oishi knew there was no way that Tokyo HQ would dispatch an investigator over something as minor as a direct appeal. If they were to dispatch someone, it had to be for a more dire reason. He had figured out as much. I thought of myself as the type of person who doesn't let things show on their face. In front of his watchful gaze, however, I felt that what I was thinking was completely laid bare. Oishi silently lit another cigarette, as if waiting for me to interject during this awkward pause. Damn, he went through that cigarette fast! I see. So this was a veteran detective's way of getting someone to spill information. Hold on. The cicadas sound very interesting right now. There's some
Is it because it's doubled?
Oh, nah. I've gotten used to that by now. It's just very like underneath it.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes any sense. It just sounds
does.
far away. But as long as I realized this, there would be nothing more. If I didn't open my mouth, I wouldn't have to lose anything. Oh. All I had to do was stare out the window and enjoy the scenery until Oichi gave up.
You really are bad at hiding things, you know. Being so young and earnest isn't so bad.
Oishi smirked as he twisted out his third cigarette, while I tried not to let him notice I had yielded completely. I'd like to think that instead of like going through each cigarette incredibly fast, he's just adding more cigarettes to his mouth. At first, I thought I had won, but at the very least, Oishi had ascertained that I was hiding something. Meaning that I might have ended up marching to his tune. Oishi started up the engine once again and began to move the car.
If you'd just been honest with me, I thought I might have been able to help you.
How would you help? If the cat was out of the bag, I might as well use it to catch some mice. That's a good fucking line.
Well, this depends on what we're talking about, but I might be able to set you up with someone who's knowledgeable about the goings-on in Himizawa.
An informant?
I see, is that what you call it?
Alright, we're just gonna have to remember what happens during this ad break. Why are you interested in my case, Oishi-san?
Well, I'm the same as you. Isn't it our business to know things? I have my DS stylus in my hand to, like, imitate a cigarette as, like, part of some hand acting.
Nice. Being able to meet with Oishi's informant was an extremely compelling opportunity. We were looking to recruit somebody familiar with the area to collaborate with for intelligence. In the end, there was no... Damn it. In the end, doesn't even matter. There was no better method for finding people than asking. I had to stick to my bit that I started, like, a chapter or two ago. They say that a lot. They say "in the end" a lot. We were all.
In the end.
It doesn't even matter. I tried so hard. I unironically
And
like
that's all
that
we
song.
can sing before we get copyright struck.
Nah, we won't get copyright struck. We were always taught, however, that the rank and file police were no better than monkeys. Damn. Unlike us, they were careless with confidential cases. We looked down on them like they'd run their mouth off in a drunken stupor. Oishi was an outlaw even amongst them, and here I was lost on whether or not I should tell him about the kidnapping of the minister's grandson amongst them. That's the bootleg version of Among Us. Sorry, that just killed me a little bit. This informant, exactly how knowledgeable are they about the Onigafuchi Guardians? Good job.
If you're from public safety, you'd know, wouldn't you? Something like that is something I can't just tell you.
Protect your sources. That was the first principle of dealing with confidential information. In that regard, it seemed that Oishi wasn't one of those monkeys. Should I trust him? Ask for his help? Or not?
It's just that you work for the feds and I work for the prefecture. I don't think that our jobs are that different. I think it can be of help.
However, I had trouble believing that this crafty old man would simply help me just like he claimed. Now, how should I go about this? I find it hard to believe that someone of your standing would help me out without strings attached.
Hi, Corgi.
Hi, Corgi!
Well, it's not like I'm complete without an ulterior motive. As I recall, you guys have space in your budget allocated to pay informants, right? Something you don't need to submit a receipt for. Just a little bit of that would be the cost of meeting with the informant.
In other words, give the compensation earmarked for the informant to you first? Well, it helps that the details of this deal are so clear-cut. He certainly was something else for being able to brazenly state his ulterior motive like this. What happened during the ad break? How do we summarize?
Oishi figured out that we're not here for the reasons that were stated, though he hasn't quite figured out exactly what.
Yeah.
And
basically.
also, he said that he can help Akasaka if he gets a hold of the informant money first, of which he will skim some off the top.
Yeah. Rather than him doing this out of the kindness of his heart, everything was a lot clearer if he was being compensated for this deal. Oh, Mort.
For a summary of what happened, I tried so hard and got so far bit in the end. It doesn't even Materi had to fall to lose it
Why
all
did you
but
say
in
it like
the
that?
end. It
Mater.
doesn't even matter.
Mater? What? Mort.
That's a normal word, Mort.
It's because it had a weird word after it. It didn't have a pause. I don't know. Mater? He said matter at some point. He said matter at the end. Ah, what a strange man this boy is. Where was I? Rather than him doing this out of the kindness of his heart, everything was a lot clearer if he was being compensated for this deal. I felt that he was the type of man who is good at these backroom dealings.
The back rooms.
Oh.
Don't misunderstand me, please.
I was gonna make the same joke. Oh, the back rooms!
It's not me who needs the money. It's the informant, okay? Well, in regards to the payment, I'll be handling the money.
When do you want it?
Right now would be good. If you don't have it on you, tomorrow works as well.
I just realized it's like the Mexican filter over the scenery now. I pulled out a wallet that was different from my personal one. The price was pretty much fixed depending on what kind of information I was paying for. In this case, the payment was up front, also considering the fact that I didn't know what kind of info I would get. I shouldn't pay too much. When I suggested that, Oishi suddenly stretched out his hand and tightly grasped the contents of the wallet.
At times like this, it's best you not be so stingy. It's alright, it won't go to waste.
I understand. I won't be stingy.
And what kind of information are you looking for? Depending on what you want and how we approach this will probably change.
You swear you won't spread this information to anybody else, Oishi-san.
I can't swear as much. I'm the same as you. I can't withhold information obtained during the course of my duties. I got it, I swear. Nothing here gets said anywhere else. On top of that, thanks to you, I can pay back what I owe from my mahjong debts. In any case, I won't break a promise that involves money.
I was still unsure if I should trust him until the very last moment, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I broke down. Oishi wasn't the type of guy I could trust 100%, but there was no mistaking he had access to underground information networks. In order to accomplish my mission swiftly, I needed his cooperation. I set my resolve. I'm investigating whether or not the Onigafuchi Guardians is related to a certain incident.
Certain incident?
There's a possibility that the Minister of Construction, Inokai, is being coerced by someone.
Saying there's a possibility is kind of a roundabout way of putting it.
It appears there's a mole close to the minister. And due to that mole, the minister had been monitored quite thoroughly and was seemingly forced to cede to their threats right away. None of this was reported to us or the police.
I see. So that's why you're saying there's only a possibility he's being coerced. In that case, isn't that a little strange? If the minister didn't report this to anybody, how did you guys know about this incident?
If we didn't spy on the minister's private life, we would have never found out. I don't think we have to provide that explanation to the informant, so I'm omitting it. Oishi had apparently caught on and quietly chuckled when I refused to explain.
I see. There's a spy close to the minister, so public safety made it a highly classified investigation. That certainly isn't a very amicable story, is it?
If this matter became public, not only would this affect the minister's political career, but the possibility of there being a shift in the political landscape is extremely high. If the perpetrator's aim is indeed that, then this could develop into a very grave situation.
Well, with the government having development projects all over the country, they've butted heads with quite a few people. It wouldn't take much wrongdoing for the left-wing parties to suddenly garner more support.
We're currently investigating what demands are being forced on the minister, but at least we have a good idea of how he's being threatened.
How?
The minister's grandson. was kidnapped. They're denying it, but judging from when he was last seen, it's believed it's already been over 72 hours since the kidnapping.
So 3 days. If they were just after ransom money, this would have been settled by now.
It may be this isn't for monetary gain. The possibility that they're forcing the minister to do something politically is extremely high. That's something we just can't consent to.
So then the Onigafuji Guardians was listed as one of the possible perpetrators.
That is correct.
Kidnap the minister's grandson and demand the cancellation of the dam project.
What do you think, Oishi-san? From your point of view, do you think that's possible? Oishi seemed to ponder the idea for a while. The section chief at the regional office had responded immediately with, "It's possible." However, Oishi, who was this well informed about the matter, was hemming and hawing. Finally, just a little bit, he said something that was really just a little bit strange.
This was before the Meiji era, you see. This area wasn't named Hinamizawa Village back then. It was called Onigafuchi. This is just what I heard from my mother.
This topic was so completely and suddenly unrelated to the subject of the kidnapping of the minister's grandson that I was taken slightly aback. Onigafuchi? Oh, so that's why they're called the Onigafuchi Guardians.
You see, the village of Onigafuchi was said to be inhabited by demons that devoured humans.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, I'm putting my stretching into my voice acting.
Oh!
Even now, it's believed that the blood of these demons partially courses through the veins of the villagers.
Demons that devour humans? Oishi-san, what are you saying?
It's information. I got a lot from you just now. A little too much. In exchange, I'm giving you a little freebie.
Oishi finally smiled, but it didn't seem like he was fooling around. Please continue.
You see, these human-devouring demons, normally they were revered as Taoist transcendents and lived tuckered away from the rest of the world. But they ate people, after all, so apparently they'd go to villages in the foothills regularly and abduct their prey. They used to call that being demoned away, or onikakushi.
Demoned away. It was the first time I heard such a peculiar phrase. However, I felt something slightly ominous from this horrifying tale of demons abducting people in order to eat them.
Look, you know how there's a common phrase, spirited away? When people suddenly go missing one day, they call it that. When the same thing happens around here, they call it being demoned away.
How does that old tale relate to the matter at hand?
Oh no, there's no direct relationship. I'm just making some small talk here. It's just...
Ka-thump! Ka-thump! The car shook. At some point, the gravel road had changed to a paved one. It's just what?
That around here, the phrase demoned away is somewhat of a code for disappearances and kidnappings. I just thought I'd mention that. I don't know if this has anything to do with the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Well, there's no deep meaning behind it. It's just, there's that little bit of history.
Onikakushi. Human-eating demons coming down to the foothills and abducting their prey. Then, in order to cancel the dam project that threatened to submerge the village they lived in, did they demon away the minister's grandson? Then, had they already made an example out of the minister's grandson and eaten him alive? It's a bit of an interesting old tale, isn't it?
If you set foot into the demon's village for that reason, you'll be promptly captured and eaten alive. So don't go near Onigafuchi. Kids these days might not believe such superstitions. But amongst the older folk in Okinomiya, born in the Meiji era, many would never question these warnings.
Hinamizawa village was feared by the people in the area. I recalled that piece of information I heard from the prefectural public safety division.
In any case, we're in the boonies out here.
The boonies.
It's kind of expected that there'd be some superstitions around. Somebody from Tokyo like you, Akasaka-san, probably couldn't even begin to imagine it, could ya?
The man-eating demons, as the price for violating the sanctity of their village, kidnapped the minister's grandson and swallowed him whole. That ludicrous idea flew through my head. It was so absurd, I was half disgusted with myself. Oishi was just teasing me. Stupid. It was all really stupid. Come to think of it, by then, I may have already been seized by the curse of that dubious village. For me to realize that, it'd take a little more time.
Wow!
End of the chapter, finally?
Yeah.
Oh god, 2 hours later.
Oh my god, I forgot. I need to get the tips up to see which ones are important.
And let's see. Oh my god, we got 4!
Oh wow. Hang on.
Phone call. Recording of opening remarks. Gears and fire and the taste of honey. Chicken... The chick in the trunk. I don't know if it's a first, but...
What's the first? What are we talking about?
Having 4 tips at once.
I don't think it's a first.
I don't think it's a first.
Just
Normally it's like 2 or 3, but I think we have had 4 at once.
here we go. Let me see.
Drinking my water. You know what? I kind of want to try to open Karasu Bank again while you're checking that. Let me try this. Work. Ah! It works now. You can throw things at me once again.
Woo!
Ow. That was me throwing something at myself. Alright, I'll drink
I'd
drink
say
water.
that all of these are pretty important, not gonna lie.
Let's go! I'll be Yukie.
Sure.
Oh, really? It's tough when it's such a sudden assignment. Please be careful. Where are you headed? You're already there? Oh, you want to read the narration this time?
Whenever I headed out on an assignment, she would ask where. Not just Yukie, but anybody would have to ask the same question.
Oh, wait, hold on.
If it was a call.
While you're drinking your water, I'll drink my violence milk. It makes me evil and dangerous.
He said dangerous, right, even though it's spelled wrong. Okay. Good job,
But
Mort.
you know, he can't say mater.
He can't say mater.
It
Paulos.
was a cold place. Sorry.
He also said, somebody put Los Pollos Hermanos in him, and he said Los Palos Hermanos is what he said, and it kills me. Anyway, continue. I love him.
If it was a cold place, she would urge me to pack a thick jacket. If it was far, she'd warn me to be careful on the drive over. It was just normal everyday concern that led to asking such an obvious thing. I felt sad that I couldn't answer such a run-of-the-mill question.
Sorry. It's something that you can't talk about, isn't it? Please be careful.
That's you, I bet.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean... Oh, okay. I'll read the dialogue for him. Sorry. At some point, you started apologizing right away. Even though when you first started your job, you were all gung-ho about it. Yukie laughed as so... Oh, never mind, that's you!
Yukie laughed as though she had realized something. We're great at this.
Ah!
At times like this, Yukie had the magical power to see right through me.
It's already been quite a while since I was admitted to the hospital. Are you finally getting lonely? Don't tease me. I'm too old to get lonely. You're not that old. You said you're in your late 20s. Oh, really? You actually like to be doted on, don't you? Don't you start getting a little faint of heart when I'm not around? Ah, jeez. I can see the little devil horns sprouting from your head right now. You've always been like this. You can't hide it. You can't hide it. If I don't play with you, you get all lonely. I can hear your tail wagging over the phone. Oh, calm down, Yukie. Calm down.
My kind of woman. The side of Yukie wasn't something you could guess existed from seeing her usual modest behavior, and it wasn't something she didn't show to anybody else but me. Or it was something.
So-called free thinkers when they hear horns sprouting from the head, exclamation point horns. Sorry.
You hear that, Jam? They're calling
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do that every time. Every time. I'm so mean. Get that. Put that face away. Put that face.
End of the conversation, but I couldn't do that over the phone.
Thank you, Cass.
Of course, Yukie was clever. She was teasing me because of that.
I wonder when I figured out that giving you grief was this much fun. Oh, that's me. I forgot. Give me a break. In any case, it's good to hear you so lively. I know, right? Did I cheer you up? I'd call. Oh.
I had called Yukie to keep her from feeling lonely when she was by herself in the hospital room. You just want me to do Akasaka?
Sure. I'm just
Of
so
course,
used.
That was nothing more than a pretense that I, being shy, had come up with. It seemed that Yukie had long since been through that act. Yeah.
Please phone again. When I'm not feeling up to it, I'll get my father to talk with you. Although, if you're talking with my father, I get the feeling that you'd be standing at attention on the other side of the line.
For a while longer, Yukie kept teasing me without letting me end the call. She really said, tee!
Tee! Ha! Alright, let's see what we're reading in this. Oh. I could read this one.
Sure.
Chairman Blank, members of the Blank Party. Congratulations are due as we are celebrating 25 years since our founding. These past 25 years have seen much growth in Blank Prefecture. The once quiet scenery of nothing but fields now has seen the opening of a new stop for the bullet train. And with the development of the highway, we've seen the rebirth of a modern city bursting with youthful energy. We've reaped the benefits of new businesses and industry, and with this special reverence, the residents of Blank Prefecture have, for time-honored traditions, history and culture, business and industry. With these ideals in harmony, they have accomplished in growing their city into one of Japan's foremost metropolises. Of course, the development of Blank Prefecture couldn't have happened without the growth of the Blank Party. Chairman XX is the next boss battle in your favorite indie game. Chairman X is a Mega Man boss. We are resolved to see every one of our campaign promises to... Every one of our campaign promise... Let me do that again. We are resolved to see every one of our campaign promises to fruition. I fucked it up at the end there. Reaching our targets definitely and expediently, like arrows fired from a bow. Oh, god damn it, Gil.
Ew.
With these arrows as the fundamental basis of the XX Party, our members have sought to pierce the obstructions preventing the happiness of the residents of Blank Prefecture. But I do believe that everybody here is unlike an ordinary arrow. While being as unfaltering and straightforward, we have not neglected in seeking solutions that conform to the current day and age while also keeping an eye on the future. An arrow, once loosed, can only fly to its destination. Everyone here, however, is no simple arrow. Even once loosed from the bow without neglecting our studies, while employing new methods, and implementing more effective and flexible ideas, thus being able to change trajectories mid-flight. We are magical arrows. The modern age marches ever forward. Sometimes it marches faster than the time taken from planning to execution. The following part was not in the script. It is thought to have been ad-libbed by the minister. For example, there have recently been numerous problems with Hinamizawa Power Plant project. Rather than forcing through the project solely because it was decided upon by the government, it is necessary to reflect on and adjust to the ever-changing needs of the residents, the region, and the next generation. With protests by the local residents that surround the Hinamizawa Dam, these are also the will of the people of Blank Prefecture. If you feel that there is no need to listen because of the project because the project has already been finalized, then you do nothing more than shed a poor light on Japan's post-war democracy. The following is as per script. For the lasting happiness of the citizens of Japan and the residents of X Prefecture, please consider these policies thoroughly. I believe, however, we have all gained something from the flexibility and foresight of the X Party. I've taken up much of your time. However, allow me to say the following to celebrate the 25th anniversary of our founding. Chairman X, members of the X Party in attendance, thank you so much for today. From the opening remarks of the X Party Prefectural Forum and 25th Anniversary Celebration. Nice.
I'll do this one.
Yeah.
The world is filled with people blessed with relationships. Of course, that doesn't mean that everyone is connected to each other. It's obvious that on the other side of the planet there are people laughing and crying who can't possibly have an effect on you. However, in the extremely limited community of the neighborhood, that sort of connection is just a matter of fact. It's quite possible that a single remarkable event could have massive consequences inside a small community. If you were to increase that in scale, a perfect stranger on the other side of the globe might become enough of a legend to have an effect on our lives. Well, it's not always that way. Like I said at the beginning, the links between people basically aren't that relevant in the grand scheme of things. Whether some household nearby is having steak or croquettes doesn't matter to me. When I put on my shoes, it doesn't matter to anybody whether I put the right one on first or the left.
Let me check. I think it's just you, JM. Oh, you can't hear me. Alright.
This much the average person can understand. But actually, in reality, this is the truth. The bonds between people are quite well defined.
I was drinking water.
It's not just a matter of distance, of being far or near. For example, let's say person A's actions have some effect on me. Even then, person B's actions could have absolutely no consequences on my life. The reverse also holds true. Just because my actions affect person A, that doesn't mean they affect person B as well. Let's put it bluntly. If the bonds between people are like gears in a machine, the gear that represents me meshes with some people, but is isolated from others. There are some people who would try arguing against this. Those people would bring up the example of gears on a clock. Each gear indeed only directly meshes with one or two others. However, if you rotate one gear, then the next to it is moved, which connects to the next one and the next. In the end, all the gears are moving. There's logic behind this, more than enough to convince the average person. Why is the argument convincing? The answer is simple. The relationships between people are ambiguous and can only be described conceptually. How the gears are connected and how their movements are chained together can't be used as a fundamental explanation, so it throws a wet blanket on that argument. So for the people who like that explanation, I'll use the example of a clock again to refute it. First of all, to say that the world is a singular clock would be wrong. That is, there isn't only one clock. There exists many clocks in this world, each counting their own time. If you think about it, the idea that this world is just one big clock is the height of arrogance. Even if you use the analogy of gears to explain human relationships, then you should be able to explain it using the analogy of multiple clocks unrelated to a single gear. Neighbors A and B. A is the gear in the same clock as me, so it's best to remain civil. B is in a gear in a different clock, so he doesn't really matter to me at all. That's the kind of clear distinction I'm talking about. You want to say I'm being fallacious? Then let's change the analogy to something more familiar so you can understand. You've probably heard the phrase, a fire on the opposite shore sometime in your life, no? For example, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you'd probably try and help to put it out, wouldn't you? It'd be awful if the fire spread and burned down your own house, after all. But what if that fire was in a town on the opposite side of the river? Would you still go out of your way to help? You wouldn't, would you? Even though it would be the wrong thing to do, there's no way the fire could spread to your own house. Even if it turned into a huge conflagration, there's no relation between the houses that will spread fire to yours and those that won't. With this basic example, you should be able to see the difference between gears that are or aren't related to your own. Having said that, there's still a lot to think about, even without a river to divide it. After all, it's not a spatial problem like being on the other side of the river, is it?
Alright. Last one. Will we ever get to see our kids this stream? Maybe. The car had stopped, but he didn't know any more than that. For not only was he blindfolded, but locked in the trunk of the car. How could people become this powerless just by being robbed of their sight? He absolutely wouldn't have known this without experiencing it firsthand. He soon realized it was pointless to try and undo his bonds, with the confines of the trunk quickly making him lightheaded. He had no choice but to let this mild torture dull his senses. That's why, when the car stopped and the unpleasant vibration ceased as the engine was killed, he couldn't help but delude himself that he was being set free, even though nothing had been resolved in reality. Of course, he was soon removed from that delusion. He strained his ears when he heard one of the men who had abducted him, and an older man he was hearing for the first time, strike up a conversation. Could be the man.
Nice to see you. Chick is in the trunk. He struggled so much that he's probably exhausted right now, but there's not a mark on him, just as ordered.
Is this a different man?
Yes, this is a different guy.
Okay, I'll just do the narration. Must have been a handful.
Must have been a handful.
Oh. The trunk opened, letting in a blast of fresh, cool air. Even though up until now, just now, he had been thinking about getting out of that stuffy trunk. When it was actually opened, he suddenly became uneasy, enough so that he wished that the lid of the trunk would once again close, separating himself from them. Suddenly, somebody stroked his head. Of course, since he was blindfolded, he couldn't tell if the hand was petting him or simply evaluating how easy it would be to remove his scalp. Unable to tell the difference, he could only freeze as he imagined the worst-case scenario. If the engine is being killed, that doesn't sound good for you in terms of foreshadowing. No!
Poor little bugger. He's shaking.
Why you got a British accent, man?
I don't know, but we're British now.
Oh, British!
Just stay calm for a bit.
The older man said that kindly as he gently stroked the boy's head.
This must be real tough for you. But you see, your Gramps is a nice man. He'll help you soon enough.
Having heard nothing but the average standard dialect his whole life, the older man's distinct intonation left a deep impression on the boy. I think they were trying to translate what gangster accent sounds like. And
Either
they were
that or like a Kansai accent, something a bit more like boonies.
Yeah, maybe. But he had no idea what he was saying. I don't know what you're saying. You're speaking too British. For your Gramps to register as meaning your grandfather took a while to process. Eventually, the hand that was stroking his head loosened the blindfold.
Can't keep his eyes covered. If he splits his face open, it'll be bad.
Me when people from Jersey.
And with that, I might as well take out the gag. Can't breathe like that. It'll be trouble if he yells. Leave him to us. Jeez, you guys don't know how to treat somebody. The main family said no rough stuff. Better remember that well. Yeah, we won't do anything stupid. As long as the kid cooperates, that is.
The man's hand prodded roughly and repeatedly at the boy's head. A rugged hand, unlike the affectionate one that had been stroking his head before. Just stay cooperative. If you struggle, there's no guarantee what will happen. That cliched threat was literally beaten into his head. Literally. That's fucked. Alright! I guess we could start the next chapter. And see how far we can get before we should wrap up.
Yeah, I'm not in any rush.
Yeah. I would like to eat.
No.
Soon.
No.
No!
Higu's forever.
Higo forever. Whoa! It's a cheap hotel. Maybe it's Keiichi, I don't know.
Jump scare. Cheap hotel.
Waking up in a cheap hotel in the city was by no means pleasant. Still the other guy, I think. I remembered even during the long camping trips we had during grade school, I wanted to get home quickly, counting out the days left on my fingers. Waking up this morning, I was somehow reminded of that. Was it a need to be with my wife when she gave birth? A particular type of homesickness? As a productive member of society, as a public servant bound to fulfill his duties, it was pathetic indeed. Those negative emotions faded as I downed my breakfast, which was surprisingly not half bad. This hotel is very American looking and not Japanese. Apparently, Japanese hotels are very different from American hotels, to the point where when tourists from America visit Japan, they have to look up American-style hotels because most hotels are designed to, just be basically like little cots. They're very, very small, and it's basically there to just sleep and not be comfortable. Anyway, those negative emotions faded as I downed my breakfast, which was surprisingly not half bad. The meeting with the informant that Oishi had provided would be tonight. Until then, I couldn't just be lazing around. The Onigafuchi Guardians was protesting the dam's construction in various ways. Included in this was a strategy for improving public relations, which could be categorized into two major forms: combative and peaceful. In regards to the former, as an attempt to keep law enforcement in check, they appealed to the public's sympathy by highlighting the oppressive and inhumane tactics of the police and the brutality of the riot squads. The latter peaceful route stressed how precious the natural surroundings of Hinamizawa was, seeking people who would oppose the dam on environmental grounds. As a part of that, the village of Hinamizawa had invited celebrated zoologists and botanists, as well as environmental groups, to advertise the nature surrounding the town. According to the news, in recent years, there had been a group calling itself Hinamizawa Nature Watching, setting up free sightseeing tours. I would have liked to have taken advantage of the opportunity, but when I called the village administrative offices, they said it was too late to apply for the tour, and they were still undecided as to when they'd be doing another one. That's right, I'm also him. I see. So, there's no applications for next time. Did you hear, Moonpie?
I did.
Too bad.
Are you a member of the environmental group? Or maybe somebody from a magazine?
No, just here privately.
Privately, then you're a tourist.
Something like that. It's my hobby to take pictures that display how beautiful nature can be. I read in a magazine that there were some precious nature reserves here, so I was looking forward to it. I knew there was an article that had something like that written in it, but I hadn't actually read it. Was it this ad-libbed lie was it this ad-libbed lie not going to work? However, contrary to my expectations, the person I was speaking to laughed happily.
Then come. The village is a little busy right now, but you're totally welcome here.
In that case, I'll graciously accept the offer. Thank you. Oh.
How are you getting around? Car? If that's the case, could I ask you for your license plate number? No, there's no ulterior motive behind that.
Sure, it is. That was probably related to the checkpoints they'd set up on the way to the village. If I didn't give them my license plate number, I'd most likely be hindered in various ways. I thought about using the car I had borrowed from the prefecture, but I was lost on whether it was okay to tell them that plate number. If the Onigafuchi Guardians was behind this incident, there's no guarantee that they wouldn't be able to find out who I was. I had to play it safe, so I elected to refrain from using the car. No, actually, I'm not using a car. If there's a bus or something, I'd prefer that.
We do have a bus, actually. The route is going to be discontinued soon, though. You can take that. It departs from Okinomiya Station.
Thank you very much. I'll look for it.
When will you be coming? Is it your first time in Hinamizawa? If it is, you must be unsure about a lot of things. If you let me know, I can have somebody show you around.
Oh no, I couldn't ask that much of you.
Don't worry about it. That's just a bit of PR we do to protect the nature around the village.
Judging by what I saw at the checkpoint, the villagers were at the very least wary of outsiders. That's why in order to move in and out of the village freely, I had to travel with somebody like Oishi or side with the dam protests. Having an interest in the natural environment surrounding the village tied into the peaceful type of PR that the village was using. I was a bit against having a watchdog attached to me, but that might actually work out in my favor. The entire village was fired up about the dam protests, so I might be lucky enough to hear some especially candid opinions from the residents. Given that, there was no real reason for me to refuse their offer. Is it really alright? If so, that'll really help. After that, I was shown the bus schedule and directed to which bus I should get on. Somebody would come and meet me at the bus stop in the village. After showing me around a spot I'd taken interest in, there was no doubt they'd bring me to somewhere like an anti-dam information center. Then, over a cup of tea, they'd try and indoctrinate me into accepting their principles and beliefs. Well, if that was their aim, there'd be a lot of freebies involved. The world is about give and take, after all. Typo in the chat. Couldn't be going in a suit. I pulled some plain clothes out of my travel case and changed into something more casual. After that, after calming down by watching some local television, I left the hotel and set out for Okinomiya Station. The bus route that I was told would soon be discontinued certainly didn't look that way. There was more than enough trips on the schedule, and the number of passengers was by no means sparse. It was the main link to Okinomiya, the only town in the area. The types of passengers that stood out were older folk who didn't look like they could drive and housewives who didn't seem like they had a license. If the area was submerged at the bottom of the lake, it wouldn't matter if there was a bus route. That's why it was going to be discontinued, in the unnatural scheme of things. I could catch a glimpse of the government's intent in cutting off their means of transportation to bully the village into emptying out sooner. It makes sense. According to the documents, talks between the Ministry of Construction and the locals broke down quite early. The government decided from the start to take an aggressive stance on the matter. It was like the fairy tale with the north wind and the sun trying to get the traveler to remove his cloak. Typo in the chat once more. Even their bullying had meaning to it. The reason why the Onigafuchi Guardians resisted so violently was because the government was doing unseemly things like that. I was somebody who lived in Tokyo, so for a village or two out in the boonies like this to be submerged didn't seem like a big deal. But I guess for somebody actually living here, it would be a vitally huge problem. Yeah, no shit, dude. Man, they're gonna flood this place and they're making everybody move out. Gee, I didn't really think about it. That kind of sucks. This route will be discontinued at the end of this financial year. Thank you for your patronage up to this point. We look forward to your continued patronage on our other lines. Okinomiya Transportation. Gazing lazily at the notice of discontinued service posted inside the bus, I counted down the number of stops until the designated one. Along the way, we passed through the checkpoint without stopping. They knew what time the bus was coming, so they had opened up the barricade ahead of time. From here on out was enemy territory. My palms at some point became coated in a thin film of sweat. Higurashi, aka... I was just reading the chat. Higurashi, aka learning how to be compassionate. Yeah.
True. Now arriving at Ukita Waterworks. Are there any passengers disembarking?
I hurriedly pressed the stop request button as the designated stop was announced. For none of the numerous passengers to be getting off here meant that it must be quite a remote place. Wait. Basu! That says bus. Sorry, I got really excited. Basu! Noriba. That's... I think that's Noriba. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Anyway. In actuality, the stop I got off at was so abnormally run down that I could tell it was barely used. As soon as I stepped out, an intense atmosphere, completely different from the interior of the bus, assailed my body. Did you clip me going, bus? Sorry. Right now, Oishi or Hondaya weren't beside me. That's right. At present, I was alone in the middle of enemy territory. My adversaries probably thought I was just an ordinary tourist, but that was nothing more than a ruse. What if by some mistake my true identity was to be exposed? It brought back the terrifying words I had heard at the prefectural office, that if somebody was attacked in Hinamizawa with a knife, there wouldn't be any evidence left behind. I didn't seem suspicious, did I? My clothing was currently casual. It was exactly the type of clothing that a city slicker that viewed the countryside as a wholesome getaway would wear.
Basu.
Basu.
See, it says it again.
Basu. Noriba. I don't know if that... No, that's a hiragana. So that's a Japanese word that I just don't know what it means.
It might be that it says bus, then bus.
In Japanese.
In Hindi. Yeah.
Basu. Oh no, more.
Basu.
Oh!
Great job, kiddo.
Oh, I love him! Camera and knapsack. Inside were various things needed for hiking. It was still only June, and maybe it was unusual, but the sun was shining down like it was already the middle of summer. The fact that I didn't bring a hat must seem odd. No, it wasn't something to be that concerned about. It's alright. I was just a normal tourist. Just normal. Was there anything suspicious about me? Asking that, and as I turned around to look at the bus that was departing... Ah! I jump scare. All the passengers by the window were staring down at me. Silently. They were staring right at me. As if they had seen right through my proud little outfit. Just staring. Looking down on me. Countless stares rained down like needles on me from the windows open to air out the bus. All that rained down were stares. None of them were saying a word. But all the more, their silent stares told me more than a million words could. Hurry up and go back to Tokyo, you outsider. No, There was no reason for me to speak. My quiet voice was drowned out by the sound of the engine. The bus, as if to torment me, set out slowly, and after doing more than enough to intimidate me, sped off. Scary. A thin film of sweat began to rise from my entire body. According to the documents, it was a village that seemed wary of outsiders. Its population was small as well. If they saw an unfamiliar face, they would be quick to identify that face as an outsider. On top of that, nobody else had gotten off at this stop. It was a bus stop that they normally just passed on by. Somebody actually getting off there, there's no doubt, that had drawn some attention. But this wasn't a slip-up. They were the ones who directed me to get off at the stop. There was nothing to worry about. That is more worrying that they directed you to get off at this stop. Now everybody knows that's where you are and they're gonna kill you.
It's fine. We're in, like, chapter 1. It's fine.
But we're already in the weeds. It didn't start off with silly children playing old maid. I knew that I was just...
It didn't.
No, it sure didn't. It started 5 years ago. I knew that I was just nervous since this was my first undercover assignment. My more seasoned colleagues referred to us as the new generation that didn't know how to lose their cool, but that wasn't true at all. In order to calm my breathing down, I exhaled the unpleasant air residing in the pit of my stomach. That's not where air comes from! Couldn't help but pray that my apprehensions would disappear like the white clouds of exhaust expelled from the bus. There was a small shed there to serve as shelter if it rained, and it was there I decided to wait. Inside the shed, one wall was plastered with posters advertising the dam opposition efforts. It was like the heartfelt screams of the villagers were recorded on that wall. Inside that shelter, I felt an inexplicable pressure. It wasn't like I had any real relation to the dam project, but it still made me feel hesitant about being inside there. That was just how filled with the force of denial that space was. And inside that uneasy space was a girl. Oh, she's like 3, isn't she? She's like a...
She's not older than 6.
Okay.
She's around 4 or 5 here.
My god. Inside that shed, covered in words, written in broad brushstrokes, berating the policies regarding the dam and calling for action, there was a girl sitting there with a drowsy gaze as if half asleep. Look at her fucking limbs are sticks. Jesus. She's so small.
She's baby.
Does she have any lines coming up? And if so, do you want to take the reverse?
I can take baby Rika.
I want it to be baby Rika.
Oh, that's what you meant.
I meant
it could be baby Rika.
switcheroo. Thank you, Theo, for the resub. 35 months. Is this Slender? It's a Slender Man. I'll still read the narration, but the two images clashed so much that I could only stand there dumbfounded for a moment, trapped in such a surreal environment. I stepped inside. Who knew what kind of oafish noises I would accidentally make? What does that mean? Couldn't be disturbing this girl's slumber like that. Having thought this, I gave up on entering the shed. It was just a sleeping kid, so why was I so worked up about it? Finally, I realized. This girl, to us, as a married couple, was the very image of our ideal child. That's a weird thought to have. Even after numerous examinations at the hospital, we didn't know for sure what our child's gender was. Whether we could tell if they were a boy or a girl was in the end dependent on whether or not we could get an image of their genitalia. Yep! Cool! There was, of course, no guarantee that if it was a girl, but with with things the way they were, the possibility was high. Even so, Yu-Gi-Oh! Time to duel! Yukie had been saying that the chances that it was a boy or a girl were even.
I hardly know her.
Or even. But in my heart, I'd already decided that our coming child was a girl. Since the day I decided that, until now, it's so fun to imagine how our child would grow up that I couldn't help myself. Amongst those numerous imagined forms, the one that I thought to be the most ideal had materialized right in front of me. Of course, a little of it was due to the circumstances. In my ideal image, her hair would be on the short side. What the fuck? Why are you thinking about this? Your child isn't even born! And you're like, in the future, I hope I have a girl, and I hope her hair is shorter. The girl in front of me, though, had long hair. It's
definitely weird to us, but this is like not an uncommon thought that a
No.
lot of like cishet people have.
I know, but it's just so weird to like think.
I want my child to be like this.
I want my child to like these things, and it's just fucking, I hate it. It's so controlling, even before your child is born. Ugh. It's almost if somebody had taken my ideal and made some small adjustments. It certainly wasn't something unpleasant. Even so, I felt like I was sullying her just by looking at her like that. What? She had an immaculate, no, a divine air about her. Wow. She's screaming. All right.
No, she's yawning. It's definitely a weird frame to pause on a yawn.
Hang on, I need to take a sip of water so I can do my baby Rika voice. All right, I've been doing normal voices. Time to do my psychic damage. That girl with an angelic smile with a yawn wide enough you could see her molars woke up all of a sudden. That's terrifying. It's like a cat yawning. I didn't mean to peep.
Oh, that's a charged thing you just said.
But locking eyes with a girl who had just woken up like this somehow made me feel like I was playing a prank on her. I wasn't doing anything shady, but I became flustered. Why are you talking like this, you fucking freak? The girl spoke. No, cried out. Meep? That character on the show with the puppets? Beaker!
I didn't know that he said this.
Meep! Meep, meep, meep! I didn't know that's what her meep like, what? Beaker? With the orange hair? It is Beaker! Muppet! Oh, he's my favorite.
Beaker mentioned.
Beaker! He's my favorite Muppet. One of them. Oh, I love him. Oh, I love Beaker.
Oh. Okay, funny.
I thought it was just one of those greetings kids do. Yeah, kids just imitate Beaker. So in order to prove I wasn't a suspicious person, I responded in kind. That's you, Cal. Beep. Oh, I'm losing it. My tracking is fucking up. Me?
Me.
The girl stared at me dubiously with a doll-like expression, cute but cold and hard to read. Oh, well, I wouldn't be surprised. There was, after all, an unfamiliar man right in front of her when she woke up, who responded with meep when she said the same.
Yeah, not very normal. Akasaka.
Suspicious. She definitely thought I was suspicious.
Because you are.
Me.
Me.
This is how Pokemon talk. This is how Mareep specifically talk to each other.
No, they go meh.
Meh.
That's what their cry sounds like. It's like meh.
We were both at a loss for words. No, the only one lost was me. The girl in front of me, as if inquiring about my motives, stared at me intently. In this silence, I felt like I was the one who had to say something first. Damn it, this girl was way better at interrogating somebody than Oishi.
I'm not anybody suspicious. I'm...
Sounds like something a suspicious person would say.
There
Oh,
she
there it
is!
is! There it is! There it is! Yes! 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 Whoa! Nipa. Wait, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Nipa.
Nipa mentioned.
Nipa. 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 What I could have. What I could have. What I could have only described as a cold expression suddenly blossomed into a smile, one that soon infected me. I need to do something. There we go. You might be familiar with the term angelic smile. To me, it was like that phrase was created just to describe the smile she gave me. The girl smiling while saying, Nipa, probably wanted me to return the favor in kind. That's right. This was a kid's form of communication. Having the other person emulate what you just did was a rudimentary form of mutual understanding.
Nipa.
Nipa! It was a beautiful afternoon in the early summer. What was I doing? Nipa!
Nipa.
Well, whatever. This is interesting in its own way. If making somebody happy with just a smile was the work of angels, then this girl was definitely one of them. I couldn't help but pray that my own child, who was soon to be born, would grow up to be like this girl. A strangely gentle moment was finally brought to the end of the arrival of a car. An older person waved at me from the driver's seat, a dry smile plastered on their face. Ugh! Hi there!
Hi there. Good afternoon. Sorry for being late. You're the tourist who phoned yesterday, right? Uh-huh. Yes. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm running a little behind because of the farm. Hop right on in. It looks like the weather isn't going to hold up for much longer, so I'll show you around real quick. Uh-huh. The weather? It changes fast around here. There'll probably be evening showers again today. If that happens, we won't be able to take any pictures. Come on, get in! Get in!
Turning around, the girl was standing right behind me with an intrigued expression. Her body language somehow reminded me of a stray cat that followed you around after you played with it a little. So charming.
Well, if it isn't Mika-tama! Praise be, praise be!
Nipa! How good is my impression of that?
I think it's pretty good.
Fuck yeah. A girl named Rika with an immaculate smile, and an old man praising her while rubbing prayer beads in his hands. It was a rather mysterious sight to behold. Yeah, I'd say so. So the girl turns her face at me, tilting her head a little in a cutesy manner. After seeing that, the elder introduces me as a tourist who came to sightsee in Amizawa.
A youngin' who came to the village for sightseeing.
Whoa.
Ah!
Ah!
The girl, Rika-chan, said that with a smile as she clung onto my arm.
Well, yeah. I heard that this village is surrounded by a precious nature reserve, so I very much wanted to record that with my camera. Even though I look like this, I really like to take pictures.
Tomitake, what?
Mark 2.
Mark 2.
Okay. What? 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 This is 5 years before.
Tomatake's been coming around for a while.
Oh, I guess so.
Tomitake Mark 2.
Uh-huh. Tomatake?
Makino. Is it okay if I come along too?
I couldn't. You could come along, Rika-tama, but there's nothing interesting to see. You should go play near the shrine or something.
Me.
A distinctly displeased expression creeped across Rika-chan's face. Being able to show one's emotions honestly on their faces was a privilege young children had.
If it's not too much of a problem, could you bring this child along with us?
When I said those helpful words, another smile spread across Rika-chan's face with another Nipa! As she, all the perfect timing, as she clung to me again. Ah, not bad at all. I want this girl to. Oh, what the fuck, dude? No! Father! Dad! Daddy! Her! What a freak. What am I doing?
In the modern day, it comes off weird. It would have been more normal when it was written. To have fatherly instincts.
It's true. Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. I mean, even without, you know, like that connotation, like that the words like daddy and stuff have, it is still kind of weird to see a young child and be like, oh, I want this girl to be my daughter.
I get what you're saying. I think it's meant to be like just kind of a silly exaggeration of like when you see like a little kid and you get cute aggression and you're like, oh.
When you see a little kid and you get that baby fever.
Yeah, exactly.
You get that baby fever, like, oh shit!
He's about to be a father.
I want to
weird new hormones he's never felt before.
Oh yeah. Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. Just calm down.
Nothing I can do, I guess. Rika-tama never listens even if you say no. Come on, hop on in. Come now, Rika-tama too.
The old man descended from the driver's seat and opened up the sliding door of the van, which had Onigafushi Alliance Town Council stenciled on the side. Oh, Rika-chan brushed me aside, dove into a seat, and began bouncing around right away. It seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying the bouncy springs.
Remember when car seats were bouncy with springs?
Nope. Not really.
We don't even have... I do. The first car that we ever had, it was an old Ford. It had these really bouncy seats, and I was Rika in this moment.
Beautiful.
Come on now, Rika-chama. If you're like that, our guest can't sit down. Hey, Rika-chama.
Girls are nice. I want a girl. I wonder if my child will play around like this too. No. It's written in that guide to raising a child that you shouldn't dote on them. Kids are kids. If you don't raise them strictly without spoiling them.
It's soft and springy. Nipa! Nipa!
I have to like launch myself across the fucking my chair to get to my keyboard.
God.
Nipa.
I am definitely going to be a terrible father. It was decided that I would be a doting parent before my child was even born.
Oh then, sir, I'll show you around some places that I think look nice. Have you eaten lunch yet? Yeah? I had a light meal at the hotel. Is that so? Well then, let's get going.
We're setting off on a tour of Hinamizawa. Yay!
Wait, I should have done that like Fluttershy.
Yay!
Well, she's a baby.
That was really close.
Listen, I can do Fluttershy's voice perfectly.
Yay.
Perfect.
Yay.
It's been a while since I've watched that show.
That at the very least, your yay is like almost 1-to-1.
I would like to be a tree.
Very, 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 very close.
It's been a while.
Is it alright if I call you Rika-chan?
Sure. My name is Rika Furude. I can already do addition in the 10th digit.
Whoa! Good job, kid.
Whoa.
Oh, is that true? That's amazing.
I don't count on my fingers. I can do it all in my head.
The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness I had about being alone in enemy territory had evaporated like it was never there at all. That's what they want. That's what they want. Ah! Thank you, JM.
Ah! Remember, when you hit Spoony, you're hitting me too. I'm
Ah!
right here.
I had to be at least a little thankful that I met this girl. Oh,
Sorry, had to sit up.
oh, it's fine.
Well then, let's get going. It's time for Hinamizawa nature watching.
The old man stepped on the gas. Step on the gas! With a great deal of gusto.
Like, I don't even recognize that as like a thing from Parappa, but I just know it's from Parappa because of the way you said it.
Step on the gas! Step on the gas! Step on the brakes! Step on the brakes! When I say boom, 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 you say ah!
Peeking!
That's one of my favorite songs from Parappa. That's why I quote it all the time.
She is peeking. And she is in.
She is my daughter!
See? See?
Yeah,
You're just like him.
I am.
Hypocrite.
The old man, who is apparently named Makino. Was he the same Makino that was listed as the auditor of the Onigafuchi Guardians? Showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this was different from the simple scenery of a city. The scenery of a charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. At first, I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. If there wasn't that whole uproar over the dam, I would want to bring Yukie with me here some other time. I wanted her to breathe in this fresh air, as well as show her this rejuvenating verdant scenery.
Is something like this that interesting? You're a strange person, Nakasaka.
No, these cylindrical mailboxes are rare nowadays. They have a certain nostalgic air about them. You wouldn't happen to think they're elegant, would you?
Is Hinamizawa fun?
Yeah, it's fun. But once she's discharged from the hospital, I'd like to bring my wife here at least once. With the child that will be born by that time. Right now, she's in the hospital waiting to give birth. She's due any day now. It'd be nice if they're a cute girl like you. Sir, it seems like congratulations are soon to be in order. Still, that's not good. To leave your wife behind and play around in a place like this.
I was momentarily at a loss for words. It was exactly how Makino said. There is no reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly in this place. Did I slip up?
Well, we already planned this trip to Hinamizawa a long time ago. My wife's family is with her, so it's alright. If you had this planned so far in advance, then how come you didn't make the sign-up deadline for the nature watching? If you did, you could have toured around in a nice bus instead of being cramped up in here.
It didn't seem as if Makino was actually digging for anything, but if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture.
Well then, for our last stop, I'll take you to the place with the best view.
It was slightly before evening. The sun was still burning brightly, but a cool breeze had begun to mix itself into the air. It seemed my exploration of Hinamizawa with Rika-chan was just about done.
The place with the best view?
Well, Rika-chama, where else could it be but the view from the shrine?
Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more.
Well then, I'll introduce you to my home, Akasaka.
By Rika-chan's home, you mean, the shrine. Furude Shrine. There's an observation platform. You can see some real pretty scenery. Furude Shrine.
The girl who called Furude Shrine her home, Rika. If I remembered correctly, her full name was Rika Furude. And Furude was, that's right, one of the 3 families. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, it was still one of the old houses that held some authority. No, more important than that right now was Furude's shrine. If I remember correctly, Oishi had told me, within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Onigafuchi Guardians. And since the land around Furude Shrine were private property, the police couldn't set foot there heedlessly. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Furude Shrine, where even Oishi couldn't simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Onigafuchi Guardians. I had been given the unexpected opportunity to enter there. I couldn't have asked for more.
I'm looking forward to it. Please, if you would. Well then, let's get there quick. The weather seems to be getting a little iffy.
The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it started raining soon. The cicadas, as if trying to finish their daily allotment of chirps before the evening, cried out even more fervently. I'm wondering if that would be a good place to stop. I am so hungry, dude.
Fair. If you want to stop here, we can.
I guess it depends how long this scene is, but...
I'm not entirely sure, to be quite honest.
I feel like this is a good place to stop, and we could just pick up at the Furude Shrine. We have warmed up.
Yeah, I'm excited for more.
Me too. Back on that Higu's... Not Higu Monday, Higu Sunday. We're doing it. We're doing it, chat. Because I'm busy Mondays now. Ah! But... what do you guys think? There's an ad break. You don't think anything. You're watching Taco Bell ads right now. Probably. Probably. Alright. I could switch over here, and we can figure out who to raid. Do you have any suggestions, Cal? I don't know if you want to suggest anybody.
I don't really know who's on right now.
So I'll take a look. I'll take a look. But thank you for joining for Higu's once again. Wahoo!
Wahoo!
But thank you, chat, and thank you, Cal, for joining. Oh, Areki's going! Areki must have just started. Hang on.
Go raid Areki. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Yeah. This is an interesting start, because it's never started this way before. Areki just started, so I'm definitely going to raid him again. I raided him last night, but I'm gonna do it again. Because usually on Sundays, he raids me. So I'm getting him back. Areki! Aw, Saribot is saying have a great rest of your day. That's so sweet, thank you. Aw, thank you, Sari. Thank you, Sari. But we are going to pick up where we left off here next Sunday at the same time, 12 p.m. Central. And I'm gonna find a snack, because I'm fucking starving for some reason. I did eat before stream, but not enough apparently.
Go eat.
Yeah, I would have gone longer, but I'm just like, I need food! Alright. Have a good day, everybody.